I pledge allegiance to my man, for he is my leader and my king. Without him, I have no value or worth. I must separate myself from the countless others that will be at his feet. I must cook, I must clean, and I must have sex with him at his beck and call. That is my duty, that is my honor, and that is my privilege. Because I'm going after his last name, his ring and his time, I must learn to be more ladylike and submit to his every whim.
Welcome to Red Man Group episode number 40. My brothers, we're on live. Today's topic is how men unplug and come to the red pill. So we're going to be sharing some personal experiences and stories, offer some practical, actionable solutions that you can apply, and of course, take some calls today. You'll notice this is the first Red Man Group that I've joined where we've got the new addition to my office with triggering items for the people that hate such things, the great books of such great men that we have on many of these podcasts. Gentlemen, let's do some updates and chat about what we've been up to before we hop in today's topic. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. By the way, that audio, the Pledge of Allegiance, that is compliments of Steve the Dean Williams, who is on the who's on the podcast today. So yeah, a lot of you guys are like, Donovan's a savage. No. That is all Steve the Dean.
Yeah, that's actually my bad because I forgot to introduce Steve because he's new. We've got Steve at themanmindset.com. Is that right, brother?
Yes, sir. That's it, man. Yes, sir.
Manmindset.com. So welcome to the panel today. So let's hop right into those updates. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the other panelists.
Yeah, it was a great week out here at TSR Towers with the show TSR Live with Donovan Sharp, weekday afternoons at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. Talked about reasons your diet isn't working. That was Pine, the keto expert. I also had Jonathan from Modern Life Dating on to talk about how to kill it on Tinder. Specifically, he gave us sort of a Tinder hack on how to get 60 matches in 30 minutes. Valuable information there. I also dropped a couple of sharp shorts. Girls are now using sex to friend zone men. Men now know the friend zone tactics of women because guys have the internet too. We've exchanged information. And so girls are finding it harder to friend zone men. Well, now they put out, but they only put out one time to give them that, to dangle that carrot. It's one thing to wish for sex you never had. It's quite another to wish for sex that you've already had. So women are upping their game. So a lot of guys think, well, Donovan, I'm not in the friend zone because I fucked her. Oh, no. Au contraire, just because you fucked her does not mean she won't friend zone you. So be sure to check that out. Talked about some of the biggest mistakes men make when they're in the gym. That was Drew Bay. Had him on. Unbelievable information. A lot of good information there. You want to check that out. I wrote an article called Pre-Selection versus Post-Selection and how pre-selection works before you fuck her, post-selection, not so much. I talked about the power of your last name. I had Rollo Tomasi and Steve the Dean Williams on the show. That was a great episode. I then defended black women. No, I wasn't drunk. No, I wasn't high, but I thought of sort of an anomaly number situation. So be sure to check that out. Right now, I'm currently working on my archive with Illimitable Man. He's made 14 appearances on my show, and a lot of guys are like, Donovan, we need an archive. We need sort of an index. So I'm working on that. Right now, I've hidden all of my videos on YouTube. I do this every once in a while to make sure that I don't get taken down or at least to reduce the odds. So you guys can check out all of my information on donovansharp.com, or you can become a patron on patreon.com/Donovan Sharp.
Sweet. What's happening? Who's up next? Anthony, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. It's been a busy week here at 21 Studios Global Command. How's my audio, by the way? Doing well still?
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, it's just kicking ass still with the post-event stuff. We are almost wrapped up with things like photos and preliminary post-production, just the basics of getting that all knocked out. It's looking good. We got Rollo Tomasi's 21 report out. That's fantastic. George Bruno did absolutely killer this year. I've been reviewing the reports he did, the interviews, and I'm really excited about that show. That's a show I've been working on slowly for many years. And I think bringing George Bruno on was a huge win for us at the event, for all the speakers. Next up, we'll be publishing Ed Lattimore's interview and AJ Cortez, also Richard Cooper's Goldman Unleashed, and a bunch of others. So we're getting that all going. And photos, too. We're dropping about 50 photos a day right now on the 21 Convention Facebook page. So that's exciting. The photos are beautiful. Everyone's loving them. We have beautiful shots of Ryan I put out last night with his shirt. So that was looking really nice. Yeah.
Brian, what's up with you, man?
Well, apparently I'm buying better shirts. I don't know.
You're like an Instagram fashion model, dude.
Yeah, well, I'm giving that one a good thing because I've always talked about how people don't really care about your logic. That's why, and no offense to the guy, I like the guy, but Turd Flinging Monkey, he's never going to be more than just like his one niche there because people don't respond to logic. They respond to aesthetics, basically. So doubling down on that. A little bit of a setback. Canada Post is having a strike right now, which sucks because my medals just got mounted and are on their way back. So they might not arrive in time for Remembrance Day, which is, I can already have like flashbacks of my chief just shitting all over me right now for this one. So
what about your weed? Did your weed come in the mail first?
Oh, I saw that. Did you see the website now?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It looks like anal cream when you're buying it. I'm like, they took all the fun out of it.
They spent $500,000 on that logo, by the way.
Dude, I haven't seen a website start off that bad since the Obama one.
That's ridiculous. It looks like anal cream when you're buying it.
Oh, hey, Modern Life, how's it going, man? You got to meet your YouTube channel.
Oh, there he is. I was actually just.
What's up, John?
Yeah. Oh, and then, yeah, beyond that, just a quick thing. So getting balls deep into the book, going back through 5 years of Married Red Pill stuff. And I think you guys have noticed I've been just throwing it out there on Twitter too. A lot of the low end stuff. It's amazing. We've got millions of words of men swapping notes with other men on all kinds of topics. So it's gonna be really exciting. And then in about an hour, I'm sending out the email list. The part 2 of the cold showers section of the 21 convention speech is coming out. If you haven't signed on yet, that's ryanstone.com/newsletter. Sign up there. Don't worry, Rich got me on a good idea of splitting it up into smaller chunks so you won't get lost if you start in the middle. And that's it for me.
Cool. Rollo, what's going on with you, man?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Busy week for me. I did a lot of interviews this week. I did one yesterday with these guys on a new podcast. Maybe they're an old podcast. I don't know. It's called like the People's Square or something like that. And most of these guys are kind of nationalists. And apparently I'm not enough of a Jew hater to to be all that relevant, I guess. But
damn the juice.
But I liked them well enough. It was a good conversation. They're good dudes. They had Roosh on, I think, the week before myself. I think they mean well, but not exactly my niche. But we had a good conversation, and I would do it again. I would just be a little bit more. I think I got to be a little bit more careful with who I go on interviews with at this stage. But I mean, still good interview. I'll still put it up. I'll still link it. It was great. And then I did Pat Campbell's show yesterday morning, and we of course did the Pledge of Allegiance that you just heard as we were coming into this show, and apparently that was a popular. It triggered enough girls inside of Pat's studio, or I think his producer really loves me, but I'm not so sure like all of the other women on his staff really like me. So, so that was triggering enough that they went and they created their own sort of opposition. Like they made their own Pledge of Allegiance in opposition to that. And I kind of wanted Steve to come on and go, okay, here, Steve, take it, go with it. It's all you. Yeah. But it kind of sucked because I didn't really have the time to respond to it or to really, to pick anything apart. But that's kind of like the gig whenever I go on with Pat. It's like you have to hit the spots and move on to the next thing. So, and then I went on with Steve and Donovan on Thursday. That was a fantastic show, by the way. I really would, Donovan, I don't know if you can do this, but I would love to make that like free and available for anybody who wants to watch that, like on YouTube.
How am I doing that at all? I've got 600 Patreon posts. I don't mind making one free.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's make that one free because that was a really great.
I'm gonna do that right now, and I'll put the link in the chat.
I think it was great because that was the topic that we didn't really get into all that much, which is like kind of women taking on men's authority or accepting men's authority or genuine. Well, there's genuine desire, but then we talk about genuine desire all the time. But we don't really say, well, how is that manifested? Well, it's manifested in a woman taking on a man's last name. It's manifested in the authority that a woman willingly, organically, gives herself to. And so that was a really good discussion with that. And we got into other topics too. And finally, the book is well underway. I've got all these, see all these notebooks over here? There's not just for show. I actually keep like 4 or 5 notebooks for different purposes. The one that I've got right here is for this show, and it's for my media stuff. So if I'm doing the Red Man Group, or if I'm doing Pat Campbell's show or whatever, I'm always taking notes while I'm going. So I have like, if we're looking for themes or we're looking for things in the future, that's what I keep it. But the rest of these, I bought this just recently. This book right here is for nothing but ideas for book 4, which is The Red Pill and Religion. And I'm starting to dig in a little bit more to that. I think I'm going to probably do my own channel. By the way, my own channel is now up and going as well for YouTube, but I'm kind of leaving that as open for doing remedial Red Pill 101. So people who don't know anything about the Red Pill, or if you just read my book, that's going to be kind of for you. So it's kind of for noobs who will have questions about, the basics, about like hypergamy, about one-itis, about all the stuff that's in the first book, because like when I talk with you guys, I have to sort of measure myself down a little bit, because I know that you guys know what I'm talking about, because you've been with me for a long time. But like, there's guys that are just coming into this, and they're constantly asking me these basic questions. So I'm kind of dedicating that channel to the basics. So if you are new to the Red Man Group, that might be for you. But anyways, this book right here is going to be dedicated to nothing but the religion book. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm probably going to do some podcasts solo about religion, and sort of sussing out the red pill parts of religion. And that's going to be coming up probably in the next week. And then finally, yes, I'm going to make a Rollo Tomasi beanie. Everybody, there's a high demand for a Red Man Group beanie. So.
You're making a Rollo Tomasi beanie?
Beanie, yes.
I think you pronounced Took wrong.
I don't know if it's gonna, yeah, right. I don't know if it's gonna be necessary. It'll be a Red Man Group beanie. It'll be the official Rollo Tomasi Red Man Group beanie, and we'll throw that out there as soon as I can. Cafe Press doesn't do beanies. I had to go to like Designed by Humans to find a beanie outlet that does something similar to Cafe Press. So that's what I'm doing right now.
And Rollo does not have cancer, guys.
No.
Man, I had that fucking GoFundMe set up too, dude. Save Rollo. SaveRollo.com.
Hashtag save Rollo. All right, Steve, what's going on with you, man?
First off, again, it's a great honor to be around great men, man. I love this. Like I said, Donovan and Rollo said it. Yeah, had a great interview about your last name, the importance of it, and why every young man and every man should stand on his last name. That was one thing we did this week. Also, on Tuesdays, I do my grind where I do over 5-6 hours of dating shows. So I can do 3 shows on Tuesday. Donovan is joining our late night show, so he's on there kicking ass. Donovan, appreciate that and everything. Also, I'm dropping a new testimonial for a guy who finally woke up and realized his power. I'll be dropping that sometime today. And last but not least, I've added 2 of 3 YouTubes of me going on the dating chat line and pulling over 20 women. So it's just me trying to show guys that, you know what, if you stand on your last name, you have your values, you know your principles, your laws, rules, and codes, you can get on there, and women can tell just by the arrogance and being selfish and conceited that they get really interested in you. So what I did was I just jumped on the chat line and I just threw out some shit and had over 20 women already hitting on me. And I just show you all the message of that. And I got part 3 I'm gonna be dropping pretty soon. So that's about it.
Cool. And Jonathan, you just joined us all the way from Japan. Give us an update. What have you been up to?
I just did 13 straight hours at Tokyo Disneyland, and it's all live on my Instagram. You could see it, Modern Life Dating. And Donovan asked me to be on the show. I was laying down in bed, and I just geared up real quick and decided, just join up and really get out there, because some of these guys are reaching out to me, and I'm helping them make like such big changes in their life that I feel an obligation to keep the momentum. And that's what I'm in it for, is just to help guys who are stuck in a position like me, much like all of you guys on this panel as well. Like, you have a heart for men and you want to like change lives. So that's why I'm here, and ready to get into it.
Cool, man. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So quick updates from you. We get some feedback. We got to actually mute you for a sec, John. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Yeah, he needs to put some headphones in.
Yeah, actually, if you got headphones, John, plug those in because that'll stop the feedback. So quick updates for me. I'm fully committed to this book that I've been writing. I've been writing about an hour every morning now, at least 3 days a week, and that's
You're back into it then, huh?
yeah. I'm gonna fucking do it, man. It's interesting because I keep adding new shit and modifying some of the ideas, and I'm not sure. Like, I know that when you did your first book, Rollo, you said afterwards in hindsight that you felt like you crammed way too much into it. So I guess I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you offline about that, just to maybe get some feedback on that. But
it's not easy, man. You having that singular focus, like where you have to like push all of your hobbies and everything other than the book, all of your interests have to be like to the sidelines, and you have to just that's the real. I think I don't think people say I'm going to write a book and then they don't realize just the singular focus you need for that book.
I forgot how long it took because the last book that I wrote was about 5 years ago, and it was a do-it-yourself debt settlement guide from one of my businesses. It's on Amazon. I mean, you can look it up under Richard Cooper, but that ended up being something like 75 pages, and that took me about 4 months to write straight, which was something I forgot about. So anyway, my video production schedule is actually gonna increase on my channel. I've got this guy from YouTube, because when you go over 100,000 subs, you get an assigned dude to help you out. So I'll be making some tweaks. If you're not subscribed to my channel, it's Entrepreneurs in Cars. You should check it out. You'll probably see at least minimum 2 scheduled broadcasts, which leads me to the next thing. I'll be doing more live broadcasts on my channel, one-on-one. My aim is basically to get, to start with the 21 convention speakers. And yesterday I did Jack Murphy. We had an amazing talk at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's on my channel. If you haven't seen it, it's about an hour long. It's a great conversation. He's the guy that went Democrat to deplorable. He's an author. He was also one of the speakers at 21 convention. And I've got George Bruno, who Anthony mentioned earlier on in his updates, who I'll have on my channel on Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And he's, if I'm the father that people have never had in my comment section, he's definitely the grandfather that people have never had. So that'll be an interesting talk. You should check that out. Today's topic is essentially how men unplug and how we cope once we're brought to the red pill. So how we basically deal with the unplugging process. We were talking offline before we went live, and I think the best way to do this is really kind of talk briefly about what trauma you experienced and why it brought you to the red pill, and then what your coping mechanism was to that, like what solutions you assigned to that problem. Anybody want to go first on that?
I guess I will.
Man, there you go.
Good.
All right.
Do it.
I've written a few articles on, and I actually mentioned it in my 21 convention speech, which I call the Fantastic Four: Amy, Carla, Darcy, and Susie. And obviously, I experienced, like every guy here, I experienced, tremendous heartbreak. I was married for 7 years, and the thing is I was very fortunate in many regards. The first thing is that my marriage wasn't terrible. We didn't have any children. When we got divorced, we didn't have any children and we didn't have any money. So it wasn't like she took me to the cleaners. Our divorce was literally $12. We paid that to the clerk of court, paid our $12, went and said hi to the, went before the judge and said, hey, yes, we want to be divorced. And that was that. We actually went to Starbucks and had a sandwich and a coffee after that. She's told me about the guy that she was dating, who she is now married to. The joke's on her because he has 5 kids before he married. So I'm winning there, but my marriage wasn't that bad. The relationship I had with Amy, that one was bad. I'm not going to get into the details. You guys can definitely check that out on Patreon. All I can tell you is that the guy that she ended up leaving me for is now dead, indirectly because of the guy she was cheating on him with, number one. Number two, when I met her, she was 19 years old and had a 6-year-old, which means that she had him at 13 years old, which means she was fucking at 12 years old or younger. Number three, the guy that died is the father of that kid. He was my age. So he impregnated her when she was 12 or 13, when he was 30 years. It's one big redneck trailer park love triangle. Definitely altered the course of my life. But interestingly enough, the relationship that led me directly to the red pill was the most insignificant. Long story short, I had just moved to Vegas, and I was there for a month. Got a call center job, and of course, at a call center, that's basically a breeding ground for fucking your coworkers. And by the way, I think we're all pretty strong. I think we're all strong proponents of, just like Alan Roger Curry said at the 21 convention, don't get laid where you get paid. Well, one of the exceptions to that rule used to be a call center. You can fuck whoever you want. You weren't going to be hashtag #MeToo'd, at least not then, because it didn't exist, if you're the number 1 through number 5 sales guy. I was a great salesperson, so there was never a worry about that. So I started dating this girl. We hooked up. We all got sloshed at the club. We went back to her place. I fucked her on one of my friend's futons, and that apparently, that was the relationship. A week in, I discovered that she was a low quality chick. Number one, she was a single mom. She said her own son was insufferable. She was just divorced, cheated on her husband, blah, 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 blah. But I stuck around for 2 weeks longer on account of the sex was great, right? And she wasn't that good looking girl. She was maybe a 6.5, maybe a 6, I don't know. But she had big boobs, so that's and she was 100% Mexican, big boobs. She had terrible breath though. That was weird. Anyway, so I drove to her house, and after 3 weeks, I said, "All right, Susie, this is it. I'm done." And the odd thing was that she was completely indifferent about it. She said, "Okay, if that's what you want." This is a girl who told me she loved me after 4 days of dating. I was confused, but I said, "Hey, you know what? No drama, no problem, whatever." So I go home, and a mutual friend calls me and says, "Yeah, I just talked to Susie." I was like, "Yeah, I dumped her." She's like, "Yeah, she seemed pretty bent out of shape about it, but she's getting ready to go out on a date. She's been talking to this guy, and she's really excited." And I was like, "What?" Again, I wasn't hurt because I wasn't with her long enough to develop any real feelings, but I thought to myself, why is it that she was able to just jump off of my cock and land squarely on someone else's? So I Googled, why do girls get over breakups so easily? I came across 2 websites. One was menarbetterthanwomen.com. The other one was Return of Kings. And that changed my life. From then on, I dove headfirst into red pill knowledge. I don't think I really used anything as a coping mechanism because I think we are all red pill aware, but we grow up in a gynocentric society, and so we're not really given permission to say this stuff out loud or to act on it. But finding the red pill for me gave me permission to be the man that I knew I was supposed to be. There were some good and some bad things about it. Of course, you go through the anger phase because you're like, wait a minute, she cheated on me, and she cheated on me, and my mom said to do this, but that clearly wasn't the truth. And a lot of guys have to watch out. This is one anger phase, and I'll end it here. The anger phase is by far and away the most dangerous phase of the red pill. It's necessary to go through, but if you'll fuck around and get stuck in the anger phase, and then you become a low-level MGTOW. Then you become, then you're sort of a mouthpiece for never ever mess with women. The juice isn't worth the squeeze and all that. And just like Rollo says, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Fair enough, but you still want the juice. And I realized, okay, you know what? I still want the juice. How can I get what I want and need out of girls, which is easy sex, without them taking their pound of flesh from me? So you learn game. Of course, one thing led to another, and I probably reached the pinnacle of my playerdom. What is it, 2018 now? Probably 2014, 2015. I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life thanks to real estate. I was living in a ridiculously expensive Vegas high-rise. Well, if you're familiar with the Soho, right out there on the Vegas Strip. I owned 3 cars, one of which was a fully loaded Audi A5. I had a Jeep. It was, dude, I'm sticking my dick in everything with fake tits. And so that was a really good life. And then I just kind of grew out of it. I decided that, and I use this analogy all the time. Ray Lewis famously said, when it comes to my salary, Sundays you get for free, right? Football player Ray Lewis. But what you're paying me for is Monday through Saturday, the OTAs, the walkthroughs, the 2-a-days, the practices, the voluntary workouts. And so I never got tired of sticking my dick in new vaginas, but I wasn't willing to make the sacrifices and put in the time and effort necessary to go out and fuck new chicks. So I'm in that phase of my life now and decided to start a podcast, and here I am today.
Cool story. Actually, a lot of that story is in your 21 convention talk from last month. So that'll be on Anthony's channel in the future, or you can subscribe to his 21 University and get access to it now. Anthony.
Hell yeah.
What's your story, dude? Like, was it Medusa or?
No, I guess I have a very long rolling story. So I found the pickup community at age 17. Just turned 17 when I found it. And that was the beginning of going from blue pillish to purple pill. And that stuck around in my life for a long time. I didn't end up finding the red pill officially. Like I found Rollo's blog in 2015, but I didn't get more formally involved, obviously, until 2016 and 2017. So even though with that, though, I mean, the Medusa stories on YouTube, you guys can check that out. Just go to YouTube, type in Marrying Medusa. That was a very red pilling experience in itself. But kind of like Donovan, that marriage and that relationship was, it was a private marriage. It wasn't legal marriage. So I got lucky in a lot of ways. I walked out pretty scot-free. No STDs, no children, didn't lose any money, nothing like that. It could have gone a lot worse. It could have been violence, could have been, false rape accusations, could have been children, could have been stuck with her in my life for the rest of my life. So on that note, I'm very thankful that I walked out of that very horrifying BPD cluster B experience alive and well. Right after that experience, though, my focus was the personality disorders. That I figured out pretty quick that there's something very, very wrong with her. And so that took up my focus right off the bat for the few months after that ended in early 2016. But so that speech and that experience actually led me to an attendee, Nicholas Cloud, at the event, the Under 21 convention we had that year in Orlando. He watched the speech and he was stunned because he had been following the convention for a couple of years and he didn't even know that me and her had split up at that time. So right after the speech, he was like, "Hey man, I got to introduce you to this red pill Rollo Tomasi stuff. I'll send you an email." And he seemed like a really sharp dude. I was like, "Yeah, just shoot me. I'm really busy right now at the event, but in a week, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to look it over." And he sent me a really good email. It was very well put together. He detailed out exactly what he thought I should read, which blog posts on Rollo's site, as well as like the red pill from other guys, stuff like that. And when I found Rollo's book and the red pill itself, the community that I had seen before, like bits and pieces, because I'd linked to some of our YouTube videos, it hit me what they were doing. Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, especially with Rollo's work. So I would say my red pilling experience was a combination of interacting with the pickup community for so many years, both like in the field, going out, approaching thousands of women, and seeing all the screwy shit they do, in bars and clubs, as well as like fuck buddies and stuff. Then I got a hyperdose of that with a very toxic, dark triad, crazy hooker who I accidentally, unknowingly married in Vegas. And then giving a speech on that led me to being introduced. So I wasn't actively searching for it. I was still focused on personality disorders at that time. But being introduced to Rollo's work on the red pill. And I really liked, Rollo for a while I think claimed that it was a Medusa who red pill me. And that was definitely an influence, like a kick in the ass. But really it was his work that I thought was so well put together and well written and very detailed. People criticize him for going on too long with these essays and writing too much stuff. I loved it. I thought it was like really well put together, and the way he writes, I guess some people don't like it, but I think it's fantastic. So it was the way he put his arguments together and the red pill community itself that I thought was very positive. In spite of all the, spurgy shit and guys trolling each other and shit like that, I thought it was just fucking badass right off the start. And so that was it was a combination of like, the experiences and going out, approaching thousands of women, the Medusa crap, that like hyper intense, very toxic experience, and then finding the red pill itself and finding Rollo's work and seeing the totality of my experience with women, putting it all together and then seeing it laid out in concepts like that, concepts and stories and essays and everything like that. And that led me to you guys. That led me to more and more speakers that now I keep putting together into the event and incorporating as fast as I can into the world's ultimate event for men that you guys are all basically a part of in one way or another.
Cool. Let's hand it off to Jonathan in Tokyo. I mean, you're a Western dude. You ended up in Tokyo. What was it?
I'm interested to know how John came, how he unplugged.
Well, I was raised I was raised by a single mom, and I was raised by an all women atmosphere. So it was absolute, utter fucking chaos. It was physical abuse, there was emotional abuse, and the biggest thing for me was I never met my dad. And my mom sat me down when I was 15, and she's like, "Look, your dad just died." And I was like, I don't care. I never met the guy. I just want to go back to playing video games. And for me, the red pill was like, it was kind of thrown in my face because I'd seen that like there can be in certain situations, just happened to me. I'm not saying all women are like this, but there can be dark animalistic situations that you can observe through abusive situations with women. And you really, really see the true nature. So when you're growing up in that kind of atmosphere, you really see this. How I came to the red pill, I was kind of a natural, but my mom forced me into church when I was younger. So I was always under the impression that sex is bad and premarital sex is a sin, and like you always have to be looking over your shoulder because the rapture is coming. So it was like they kind of brainwashed it out of me. And then I kind of came back to it. I guess I can liken it to Empire Strikes Back, when Luke Skywalker is trying to lift the X-Wing out of the swamps of Dagobah. Like, I knew that there was some kind of way or reason or logic in regards to attracting women, and I couldn't do it consistently. So I just started researching online. I got my degree in psychology, and through just my international experience, I started coming to the realization that there was something that I was missing. And in addition to that, I believe that there was something wrong with American women. And that kind of led me to the whole like leaving the States and everything, because I mean, if you go outside the States and you live in a non-Western country, it's like eating filet mignon every night, and then out of nowhere you just get downgraded to only Big Macs. And that's what it was when I went back to the States. So my red pill journey was a little weird, but I was kind of thrown into it from childhood, and then I kind of refined it through the blogs, and eventually took me to just leaving the States and seeking greener pastures to having fun days at Tokyo Disney.
Awesome. Let's get Ryan Stone. We'll call him King.
I like that, actually. I might just change
Ryan King.
Change it, man. Ryan King. So what's your Batman origin story, brother?
Fuck, I know this, saying full well that I just ranted about it for like 2 weeks. I like to brag that I'm the only guy who wasn't red pilled by a woman. For me, it was the military. That was my bitch. So short story is, I was kind of one of what Illimitable Man describes as the Lost Boys. Didn't really have purpose, did the things you're supposed to, university, raised on a ranch, all that crap. The military was kind of nice. I bought into the whole Queen and Country and the meritocracy thing. And then moved to Montreal, was hit by a car, and it put me a little behind on my workload. And eventually I had a lot of pressure put on me. And this was right around the time, Rich, you might remember this, Jeffrey Delisle. He was a Canadian guy who worked at Trinity who got picked up for selling top secret stuff to the Russians. So right about that time, everybody was panicking. And then my boss saw an opportunity to replace me. And so he put me up on espionage along with about half a dozen other charges. And it was right then that, and things started to get pretty rough there. I started having anxiety attacks and all that. Wasn't so much that was going on, because I'm like, whatever, I didn't do anything. I shouldn't have to worry about it. It's that everything I had been trained about military law up to that point, and they were just throwing it all out the window and doing what he wanted to do. Very Machiavellian. So, and then typical, when a guy's down, who do you look for support? You look for your woman. And let's just say the whole world kind of came, and my worldview kind of came crashing down all at once. So between all that, I got cold, did a hate fuck in the shower and moved on. And then from there, just kind of went balls deep into the red pill. And I'm not going to lie, I actually kind of look back to that with a little bit of happiness, I guess, because I probably, if I was been one of those guys that would have just been the jaded cop collecting his pension, muddling along, if it wasn't for that big kick in the ass there. So it's like when your dad beats you and you decide never to beat your kids again. Like, it's a good lesson. You just can't take credit for it. And that's when I started doing things. I basically wrote like a madman, read everything that I could get a handle on. And it's where I developed things like I've been tweeting lately about the gym bag routine, which is a nice and typical, because I used to be Mystery Method back in the day. You start building routines to help you internalize concepts. And it was a couple dozen of those. And it made it a lot easier, because, I mean, you can read it in a book, but until you start actually practicing it, it's hard to internalize this stuff. And then people just kept asking me to do more and more. I wrote so much on the Married Red Pill, they asked me to moderate there. And then the Red Pill subreddit asked me to moderate there. And then Rollo and Anthony asked me to come on the 21 convention last year. And the podcast here, I guess it was just, the hobby started blowing up. So it was really, really nice. And then, like Anthony, I kind of focus on the psychology aspect of it. I figure at the end, we're all just, how's Scott Adams call it? Just moist machines or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
robots.
So I'm like, well, at this point, you might as well start learning more about human interaction. I mean, the whole thing's kind of based on Evo Psych anyway. So yeah, and then the funny thing was when you think back, I actually resonate a lot with how Modern Life Dating there is talking about his childhood, because there's a lot of things at the time you don't have a frame of reference as a kid. Like my parents were divorced when I was 5. My stepdad was kind of ogreish because he didn't really have any healthy coping mechanisms for basically, you know, wifing up a divorced mom of 2. And so I turned into one of what Rollo calls the promise keepers, where, you know, he treated my mom so bad, I'm never going to do that to a woman. Not realizing that, you know, when women complain, it's not because they don't like a guy, it's just because they have emotions they need to get out. So, and I kind of go over that in my post, replacing our fathers, which I'm moving over to the main site there. So yeah, and I'd say the big thing that's awesome that I learned from this is that you kind of need a little bit of trauma in your life or you're never going to grow. We just, our egos, it's too hard for us to justify things until it's basically slapping us in the dick. That's my Batman origin story.
There's nothing like getting slapped in the dick, right? That's yeah, it's like a cold shower. Rollo, what's your Batman origin story that brought you to the red pill?
As if I need to tell this one again. I never had like a point of unplugging per se. I had sort of little incidents throughout my life when I was younger. On from being, everybody thinks, oh, well, Rollo, he's been this alpha guy. He's done everything right, his whole life, and that's why he knows all this shit. It's like, no. The reason that I write what I do is because I got everything wrong. So I've gone from being kind of like this blue pill beta guy when I was in my high school years to sort of being this alpha guy in my semi-pro rock star years, and then meeting up with a borderline personality girlfriend that I had for about 4 years, and then just, you know, a series of things. I've played the role. I've played lots of different roles. So I throughout those years, I didn't realize what I was doing until I started like kind of studying this, or I had some incidents happen in my life. I think the first one was when I was dealing with the BPD girlfriend. I came across the work of Dr. Warren Farrell, which was Why Men Are the Way They Are. And that was a book that was written in the 80s. And it was sort of like the larval stage, I guess, of my unplugging, because it revealed things to me that I didn't really understand at that time. And now in hindsight, I can just see how controlling like the feminine imperative was through the late 80s and through all of the 90s. I always say that the 90s were the apex of the control factor of the feminine imperative. Like all this shit was coming to a head, but nobody knew about it because we didn't have the internet, and we didn't have forums, and we didn't have the manosphere, and we didn't have alt fast seduction or any of this pickup artist stuff. In fact, the only time you would see somebody trying to tell you how to get girls would be in the back of a Hustler magazine, where it would say, "Hey guys, are you lonely? Let me look. Here's how to pick up chicks." And it was one of these kind of sleazy books that you would read in the back of a magazine. You have to send $20 in to get it. And that was kind of, like I said, that was kind of my beginning point. And then later on, once I broke up with her, and that was a very, very ugly breakup. I turned into somebody that, I was close to being like what Vox Day would call an omega. I was that low in life. And then I took probably about, I don't really think, I guess I went monk mode, but I didn't really considered at that time. I just sort of like laid off everything and decided that I was going to make myself my mental point of origin, because I was doing some sort of, I want to call it soul searching, but I had some introspection, and I decided that I wanted to start concentrating on my own self. And so is my audio getting muffled, guys? Can you hear me okay?
Earlier it was. It's good now though.
No, yeah, I know. It's just, I gotta get a new mic. It's this unidirectional mic. Anyways, so then what happened was, I met my wife, and things changed a little bit. She expected me to be alpha, and it was really kind of a shock to my system, because I finally met a woman that expected me to be dominant. Because up to that point, all the women that I'd ever met were, well, we're going to be equal. We're going to be equal players in this relationship. You need to be more supportive. And I was done with that shit, man. I think I had like 3 LTRs before I met my wife. And in each one of those LTRs, I had been the most supportive member of. I had to be the perfect boyfriend. I had to be the guy that she would want to marry when it was time for her to actually decide that she was going to be married. And then I didn't really realize it at that time, but like that almost put me in the what I call the category of being a beta in waiting. It's like, okay, now she's done fucking other guys, so I guess it's my turn. I'm up to bat finally.
Score.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then so I was like, fuck this. And then so I decided at that time, like right after, I think it was probably about 4 months, 5 months after I'd broken up with my BPD, I was going to go off and, finish up my college. And I just basically decided to get my shit together and start making myself my mental point of origin. And anybody who's read my books and you understand what, enlightened self-interest is and why that's important to me. That's where I kind of came to terms with mental point of origin, because I had realized through that introspection that I had been making women the focus of my life. And I don't mean that in a sexual sense. I mean, yes, I wanted to get laid a lot, right? But beyond just getting laid, it was I had realized that I had been taught and had been conditioned to think that womankind needed to be up here, it needed to be above me. And I had to sort of be supportive because I had some sort of, patriarchal duty to check myself and to be as supportive and as perfect a boyfriend as I possibly could, or, a good potential husband. And then I ran into Mrs. Tomasi, and then she expected me to play a more conventional, more traditional gender role, because her father was very, very, very dominant and a very, very much an alpha, to this day, very, very much alpha. And she expected me to, like, told Rich this before, she expected me to drive the car. She handed me the keys of her own car and said, you know what, you need to drive. You need to be the one that's in control here. And she didn't say those words to me, but she did that with her actions. It was the medium is the message. And the medium for her was handing me the keys to her car saying, you're driving this car. You're driving my car. And so that changed me quite a bit. And then of course, I would say if there was one incident that really changed me up was when my brother-in-law hung himself. And that was if I had a red pill moment, I think that was my red pill moment. I was listening to Tom Likas and sort of getting into kind of what he was talking about way back when he had a terrestrial radio show, like back in 2000, 2001. And so I was kind of getting into that. And then I was also the moderator for a forum called So Suave. I don't know if it's still around, and it's still actually a pretty solid forum, I think. And so I was there, and then that was what made me decide to double major in behavioral psychology. And I would have probably majored in evolutionary psychology, but they didn't offer it back then. They didn't offer evolutionary psychology, at least at UNR, the school I was going to. So I did behavioral because it seemed like it was more nuts and bolts. And so I stuck with that, and I started seeing, behavior patterns in, behavioral conditioning between, men and women. I started asking these questions, and people didn't like the questions that I was asking. And that led me to being who I am right now, as far as my blog and my books and everything else. But if I had a point of unplugging, it was when my brother-in-law decided to put a noose around his neck. And then the problem is I was seeing it, a lot of the stuff that I was learning, and I was sort of, the dots I was connecting, I was seeing this in real time and, live happen right in front of my eyes, where this guy who I had knew, for probably 4 or 5 years beforehand, put a noose around his neck and hung himself because he got zeroed out. And, his wife decided that she was going to trade up, and, all of the sacrifice and all of the, doing the right thing that he had done for so very long, all that was just basically tossed out the window. And he was probably the most graphic example of a guy who had gotten zeroed out. And so when I talked about that, when I kind of raged about that's when even just women who didn't even know who my sister-in-law would come to her defense. It was like the sisterhood uber alles is what I call it. But it's like women, like I would be talking about this because you're supposed to talk about your feelings, right? And so I'm talking about this shit, and women are coming to the defense of my sister-in-law, his, the now widow of this guy. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind that people, like, that women would take the side of a woman who they didn't even know. And that was really the catalyst, I think, for all that. I wanted to just do one real quick thing here. I have a post, and I can't say this is an original post because it's really not, but I think that a lot of guys, and pretty much everybody who's shared their story right here, and I'll get off of here in a second, but there's 5 stages of unplugging that people go through, and I'll post this in the chat here in just a second, but they're basically the 5 stages of grief. Okay, and it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and then I always say that there is a 6th one, which is sort of jaded. Like guys get jaded. That's when you sort of lean over into the MGTOW side of things. But first part is denial. Okay, so if you're still plugged in, you kind of tell yourself these game guys are a bunch of clowns. There's no way this is going to work on women. Women are stupid. What a bunch of misogynists these guys are. And then you get into the anger phase, which I think a lot of guys get stuck in. Right, so that's post red pill. This is like post unplugging, and this is the guys will tell themselves, "This is ridiculous. Why should I have to jump through these hoops for women? I just want to be myself. Why can't I have a natural? Why can't I have? Or why couldn't I have been a natural alpha? I blame my parents, my siblings, my teacher, God, liberals, feminists, media, society, whoever else." So there's this anger phase where you're angry at having wasted so much time.
Yes.
You go into the bargaining phase. I don't think we talk about enough about the bargaining phase of unplugging here, because you're basically with these stages. They're basically the stages of grief, and the stages of grief came into being because it helped people deal with death, or it helped them deal with like their own death. Like if they know that they've got like a terminal illness, these are the stages that they go through. Or if somebody died this morning. Yeah. And so what you're mourning at this stage is you're mourning your beta self. You're mourning your old blue pill self. And so all that shit that you used to live for, all that's dead now. And so you still have to go through these stages. And so you get into the bargaining stage, right? And the bargaining stage is, well, maybe this does have some good points, but forget the hot girls. They're going to be way out of my league. I'll just give it a try. If it can help me with the basic plain Jane girl, then I'm okay with that. Do I have to wear the fuzzy hat and the black nail polish? And then there's the 4th step, which is depression. Guys kind of go into a depression. They get nihilistic about things. So it's the bitter taste of the red pill. It's like wow, women really respond to this puffed up act. And guys spend big bucks on it and wind up with more ass than a toilet seat. And I just joined up for this. The world is sad, and so am I. It's like they can't believe that game and that the red pill is actually what it claims to be. And so they kind of like get a little bit depressed about that. This is where the guys go into sort of that black pill mode, and they go into that nihilistic side. But the good news is that after that step is acceptance. Okay. And that is, you become more game aware. Okay. So the guys will tell themselves, maybe this is the way things really work. I guess I should give up the gender relations mythology I've been holding on to. And hey, what do you think of these? What do you think of these neg hits I came up with? This is when guys get into actually working game and actually using it and actually practicing it, because it is something that they've finally accepted, and they've decided that they're going to internalize it and they're going to make it part of themselves. And I think that that's probably the most important part of unplugging, because guys will think that it's an act. They'll think, oh, I got to act this way. It's like, no, you have to be that. You have to be the red pill. You have to make red pill awareness your reflexive response to things. And I think that's a really tough stage for guys to get to, because they think of it in terms of like pickup artistry. They think of it, well, I got to learn these scripts and these routines, and then when I get into a relationship, then I can let my hair down, and then I can be comfortable, and then I can do all this other shit that I really want to, because I still really, really want the blue pill to be true, right? But you can't do that. You have to be the red pill. I know it sounds really zen, but you have to internalize this stuff and have to make it part of your reflexive responses. Now, finally, there's the jaded part, and this is where you kind of get over into the MGTOW side of things, which is fuck learning all these rules. Sex isn't worth it, and women aren't that fun anyways, right? And the last thing I want to do is learn these routines because you still think of it as an act. Or the 5 stages of pickup. There's way too many websites, too much to read. I can't remember it all, much less sort it out. And who has the time to go through all this and chat women up anyways? It's not like it's not like I see any women under 40 at my work anyways, at my engineering job to practice on. It's basically sort of this giving up or giving in. And I think that is something that you need to guard against. A lot of guys go straight from that anger phase to the jaded phase, and they never really go through bargaining, depression, or acceptance. So I just want to throw that out there, because there are, if for people who are in understand that you probably, if you're newly unplugged, if you're a noob, you're gonna go through these phases. And it's good when you get to the acceptance part. It's good when you get into the internalization part, because that's where you make your real steps forward.
You value
Totally
your dick
agree
over
with
your
that.
ego.
Yeah.
Real quick, Rollo just said, we always talk about not getting stuck in the anger phase. Don't get it twisted, guys. It's not easy not to get stuck in the anger phase. So I just want to make sure that guys know and understand that what we talk about here, we understand it's not easy, but that's why it's worth it.
Yeah. Steve, what's your origin story? What brought you to the red pill? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. Unmute.
All right, y'all can hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah.
So I was running my mouth. Okay. Well, I was what you call a blind natural with world is flat thinking. See, I always wanted to be like my dad. And if you ever watch like Fox News, you'll see him, Ted Williams, you know, he's an asshole. And that's where I get my ego from. And he always taught me the value of my last name. That's what he taught me, but he never taught me about the world, and he never taught me about women. So when I grew up in a time where there was no internet or no Facebook. So if you wanted to talk to a girl, you had to walk up to her. You know, I like you. Do you like me? Check the box, yes or no type bullshit. But yeah, but even though I was blind to women, I was blind to the real world, but I still had a little bit of something to me, but I didn't know what it was. I mean, I would talk to girls, I'd go over their house, they unbutton my shirt, I get scared and I run off. I mean, I was naked with this older chick in the bed, and I was so scared I couldn't get my dick hard. I mean, I'm honest. I mean, I had those moments because I was doing something, but I didn't know what I was doing until I had my unplugged moment where I met my mentor. My mentor was this guy that he was like larger than life. The girls would bring him McDonald's and Burger King. He was like the center of a soap opera. And the thing that happened was, as a youngster, we always asked him, can you please show us what we need to know? And what he did was, the most amazing thing that he ever did was, he pulled us aside one day. Again, he called us all kind of motherfuckers. He treated us like shit. But what he did was, he pulled us together and he said, who wants money? And all of us kids, we rose our hand and we like, yeah, we want money. So what he did was, he pulled out a handful of nickels, quarters, and dimes. And he threw that shit on the floor, on the concrete. And he just stood there. And whoever went down there, he told those guys to stand over there. And whoever didn't, he said, you guys get the fuck out of my face. And everybody's like, why? What are you talking about? He said, to you guys, when I said money, you think about the dollars, the fives, the tens, and the 20s. But that penny is a penny more than you have in your bank account. That nickel's a more 5 cents more than you have in your bank account, which means is that you have to want it. But it's not just saying I want it, it's the behaviors that have to line up to the want. And what he taught me was, there are things you know, there are things you don't know, then there are things you don't know that you don't even know. So what I learned was that my mindset, it wasn't my money, my clothes, my cars, my fame. It is what I thought of myself and how I think of the world and how I see the world. And I believe that now I am the king of my castle. I will never allow a woman to do anything to me whatsoever that I don't choose to do. But as I grew with that, I did a little bit of gigoloing and shit, just a little bit for a few years and stuff. But I got out the game in '99. I got married, got out the game. But I've been teaching for over 25 years. But the thing that a lot of young guys need to understand, and like we talked about this week with Rollo and Donovan, is that it's my name, but it's not just my name. It's my behaviors that attach to your name. And it's how you speak, how you talk, how you text, how you walk, how you think. They all have to be congruent, and they have to go in one way. And once you can start to see that, like Rollo, you were saying, there's going to be times where you're going to be upset, mad, confused, and all those other things. But what happens is that once you can get around that storm, you can be the light in that darkness that can not only lead yourself to be stronger, but you can lead those around you.
Yeah, I've got an interesting story, and then I know Anthony wants to do a quick update before we take calls. Mine's a bit of a blend of the the girl that brought you the red pill, and Ryan's story was something outside of women. Went through divorce. I mean, I was 38. Just married the wrong girl, didn't work out. Went through through the divorce machine and learned what that was like, which wasn't what red pilled me, surprisingly enough. But it definitely was the lowest point in my life where I actually contemplated suicide. And then around the time I was going through the divorce and during and sort of after it for about an overlap of 3 years, I was lobbying the Ontario government for a bill that was in legislation that was going to basically wipe out an entire industry that I was working in. And that was eye-opening because everything that we had done up to that point in the business was with the customer at the center or the origin of what we were doing, which was to save them a ton of money. They'd have an advocate that would get them the best deal possible, and they'd start clean fresh without a bankruptcy. It was always really good, and fortunately, it still is. Either way, by the end of that, we actually figured out a way to survive that. Our entire competition pretty much got wiped out, but that business is still running. But that really drained the batteries from me. Like, that was a really shitty time too, just seeing that even though you can do the right thing, somebody else that's got deeper pockets and more influence can just squash you. You're like David versus Goliath when it comes to that. I mean, they always tell guys, I put out a tweet yesterday, and it said, they always tell guys, just do the right thing. They tell women, do the right thing for you. And I guess that's that was the third thing that pushed me to the red pill, was the single mommy episode. And I was like 40, 41 at the time, in and around that age. And it was like, I'm a fucking middle-aged man and I am unable to function over my experience with this woman. And a friend of mine at a men's retreat said, you got to check out The Rational Male. And that was like, I don't know how to describe it. It was almost like this cleansing. A lot of guys get pissed off when they're taking to the red pill and they understand, the world for what it works. And it was like, I looked at the entire world differently. I looked at women differently. I looked at relationships differently. I looked at the business world, the government, everything differently. And, kind of as like an actionable note, like an action step, which we kind of opened up with. It definitely makes you more functional. I feel better. You just have to accept it. It's medicine's never, like, medicine that's going to work is never going to be, it's not going to taste like lemon meringue pie. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. You're going to feel like shit for a bit, whatever that period of time might be. But when you take medicine that's effective and works, it has the ability and the opportunity to change your life for the better. And that's what I got out of it. It was just a cleansing of beliefs that didn't serve or work, and an update of things that did. And if anybody's a fan of my channel, they've watched it change dramatically over the last 4 years, and that's where kind of my origin story came from. But I want to toss it over to Anthony, and then we're going to start taking calls.
Cool, thanks, Rich. So I wanted to clarify a few things I kind of glossed over earlier. I've always been building my company, the 21 Convention and 21 Studios, since I was 17 years old, so over 12 years now. And I think having done it for so long, and I've never had like a 9-to-5 or some shit like that. So I've never been in like normal culture with work or with women. I've always been outside of that since I left the house. So I want to kind of clarify that, because I think that causes me to gloss over some like really serious shit, like it's normal, and it's like totally not normal. I literally married a hooker, for example. And I think when I say that, people think it's like an insult or a derogatory statement. It's not. As you guys all know, it's like a literal statement. She was an escort. And for most guys, when they hear that, they're like, holy fucking shit. For this group, that's like par for the course. But I want to clarify that. Also, kind of like Ryan, had a really violent, fucked up, chaotic childhood. That was so bad that I don't even talk about it still, even at 30. Something I'm still kind of like working through, trying to understand, talking to speakers about it too for coaching and stuff. And that's something that I really haven't shared even at the convention over the years. And I think it had definite involvement, obviously, with blue pill stuff, purple pill stuff, the relationship with Medusa, everything like that. Another thing too, one of my biggest red pill moments after finding the red pill itself, like officially in 2016 and Rollo's work, one of the biggest realizations is that even after all my experience with women, all the women I'd banged, approaching 7,000 women at that point, or like 6.5 at that point, I did not understand women. So I'd spent all these years, at that point, almost 10 years, understanding pickup, understanding how to get laid, but it hit me in the face, deadpan, that I did not understand women. And so finding Rollo's work in the red pill helped me start revising and reviewing years and years and years of experience. whether it was in the toxic relationship with Medusa. That was a very odd combination of events, kind of like my childhood. My family was not poor growing up, but it was extremely violent, chaotic, which I think is unusual. Usually you'd have that with like a lot of extreme poverty. And there was points where it was like, really dramatic bankruptcy and stuff like that. But for the most part, we had a lot of money growing up, but then a lot of like really serious emotional personality disorder, like level issues. So yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of clarify that stuff, that some of the shit I go through, I just gloss over it like it's normal, like accidentally marrying a hooker in Vegas, which is really funny, putting it out like that. But it's also like very serious, and it's very unusual.
Story's on your channel, and I also interviewed you about a year ago too. I mean, we had a deep conversation about it too. It's a fucking crazy story. If you guys haven't seen it, then just search for Anthony Johnson, Marion Medusa. You'll find it for sure.
Second.
What?
Yeah. It's
that frame of reference is a huge thing. You're totally right there. Obviously, you just don't know any different. So for you, it's normal until you start talking to other guys.
Well, yeah, exactly. And one of the things too, I realized about a year ago is that my childhood was so fucked up and violent and insane that living with a literal crazy dark triad hooker was actually a better experience than that. And that was a frame of reference that I didn't even figure out till maybe like a year and a half ago. It's just a comparison basically, but it was kind of a moment for me. I was like, wow, like that was actually a lot more normal than what I grew up with. So I've been through a lot of the same shit you guys, or very similar shit to what you guys have. Like Jonathan here from Modern Life Dating and Ryan. So I've been through that. I just don't talk about it as much. But at some point I probably should.
Do we have callers online?
Yeah, man. We've got 5 callers on.
All right, let's fire away. Let's take the first call.
205-5356, guys. We're gonna have a lot. We're probably gonna have a lot of callers today. We certainly appreciate the discourse and the back and forth, but let's try to get right to the point so that everybody on the panel can get a chance to answer or address if they can do it. Area code 229. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Name, location, and question.
Donovan, what's up, man? It's Sean from Tampa.
Sean from Tampa. Sean is actually kind of like Rollo Tomasi 20 years ago. Sean, you are in a band and you score a lot of pussy because you're in a band, period, right?
Yeah, something like that, man. I'm kind of like a red pill touring guitar player. And,
there you go.
I just wanted to call, man. I wanted to call into.
Hang on a sec. Is that Sean Hopper?
Yes, it is, Richard.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now I know who. Okay, got it. Yeah, because it was Sean that actually introduced us to Elliot Hulse.
Oh, wow. On in Tampa, Sean Hopper. Yeah. Well, small world. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you guys, what you guys do is life changing. So I found Rollo's work on a whim one night, late at night, 2 a.m. I was on Amazon, and this random book came up in a book you may like section. And I saw it, Rational Mail, and I bought it. It came in, and dude, right from chapter 1, I was just like fucking blown away. So I bought like 30 copies and given them out to friends.
Man, thank you.
No, dude, I just really wanted to share that with you, man, because yeah, dude, somebody needs to open eyes, and rationale is the way to get to the man's conscience. Once you get past that limbic system of a man's brain where he's all like lovey-dovey, his rationale can kick in. He can go, oh shit, this does make sense. Right. So basically my red pill moments, man, I kind of see them all the time. It was thrust upon me because I would try to, fall into blue pill conditioning when I was younger. But as I would play guitar on stage, I would notice there was a pre-show interest in me, or a pre-show lack of interest, but a post-show full interest from women. And I never understood that. I was like, okay, I'm 5'11". I'm not like this, cream of the crop guy. I mean, I'm a good looking dude, but what's going on to make, 10% of women like me from before the show, as opposed to 90% after the show? Mm-hmm. And it started to make sense once I read your books. I was like, holy shit, pre-selection, hypergamy. Dude, it was blowing my mind. So, I mean, they would just come my way like crazy. And I would get confused. Honestly, guys, I would get so confused because I didn't know what to do with it. And I thought, oh, they really like me. That's what it is. These girls, they finally see me for whatever blue pill narrative I could construct. And finally, man, when I got a hold of your work and I accepted it, I went through all those stages. My red pill rage was kind of like trying to red pill women in a way. that was a form of red pill rage for me. It was like, no, see, this makes sense. Let me show you. Let me explain it. And I gave up on that. Thanks to you guys. It does not work. So, yeah, man, like I said, I'm a little nervous talking to you guys for the first time. It's just kind of shocked because I'm just such a big fan of the work you guys do. And I spoke to Donovan several times, but yeah, man, that's kind of what I like to do. I like to go around. I play my shows. I love to evaluate the psychology and the behavior of what goes on in front of me. And when guys ask questions, I can give them answers and I can guide them to the right literature. When women ask questions, I say to them, don't ask questions you do not want the real, logical, evolutionary, biological answers to. Mm-hmm. Do not ask. And
God, that sounds so flirty.
Yeah, sure. They'll try to get flirty like that. But that's kind of the frame I like to operate. I love to play music. I love to do my thing. Like I got a sold out show tonight here in St. Petersburg. And sure enough, I'll get up there and I'll do my thing. And afterwards, like clockwork, I can pull this chick. I can say, hey, I want to make out with you and your friend, whatever. And it's not an ego thing. It just is. And, you know, I enjoy it. But yeah, you're right, man. Women break the rules for alphas and make the rules for betas. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you to Rollo. Thank you, Donovan, Richard. I watch all of y'all's content all the time.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad you guys finally connected with Elliot. So, yeah.
Hey, let's get you out to 21Con next year, man, in Orlando, Florida. It'll be in November.
Yeah, man, I actually talked about that with some friends. We'd love to go, you know, come attend that and just, you know, check that out. But if that's something you guys are interested in, I'd love to be a part of it. That I can give my experiences as a musician and how guys will, I'll say this real quick and I'll let you guys run because I know you got other callers. Guys will say to me sometimes when they hear about my experiences, and I want every guy listening to this to understand this very deeply. Their girls will say stuff like, the guys will come to me and say, well, my girlfriend would never do that kind of thing. My girlfriend would never go off with a musician or an actor or an athlete. And I go, keep telling yourself that, dude. Keep telling it, because I have literally played shows where I'm behind the merch table. And Rollo, you've probably had something like this happen as a musician also. I've been behind the merch table and like a man and woman approach and the woman will hug me. She's married. Husband is right there next to her. She'll hug me, slide phone number in my back pocket.
Damn.
The fuck?
Yep. Other times I'm
USA girls right there.
Sounds like sexual harassment to me.
No, it's everywhere. We had that up north too.
Hashtag you too.
God forbid I say anything though.
Holy shit.
That's great.
Bathroom door to try and get in. I'll open the door and they'll come in and have fun with me. And go back out and introduce me to their boyfriend. No bullshit. I know it sounds crazy.
No, that doesn't sound crazy at all.
No, you know what's funny is
we talk about this all the time, and people always challenge it, right?
Yeah, so like, you're telling me it's funny because like shit doesn't change, man. You're telling me shit that I experienced back when I was like in my mid 20s, like 22, 23 years old, and it is still not. I mean, that's where I live. That's where I learned game, really, but we didn't call it game. I just a quick aside here. My game back then is when I was playing guitar, I was playing bass, whatever. I would have a show, and it was exactly what he was saying. It's like you don't have any social proof before the show, but after the show, you got tons. So what I would do is I would like go around, find the girl that I go, okay, I want that girl right there, and then I would go and I would get one drink because I was so poor I couldn't afford, alcohol. So like girls would end up buying me drinks anyways, right? So I'd sit there with one drink. And I find the girl, I start chatting her up and I go, okay, sorry, I got to go play this gig. Can you watch my drink for me while I go up here and take care of this, right? So if that girl was still sitting at the bar watching my drink after the show, I knew I was in. I knew that was where I was going to go. She's the one I was going to go home with that night.
Yeah,
that's a mystery method thing, actually. I forget the name for that. The lock and prop. The lock and prop is what it is.
Yep, I just naturally did it.
Yep.
Cool.
Analogy that I give guys so they can understand how hyperbole works, like so they could get it really quick. I told Donovan this like a couple months ago. I call it Donovan called it armchair quarterbacking, and basically it's like a girl will say that to your face, and she actually believes this. She'll say to your face that she would never do that with so and so or this type of guy. She would never do it, and I believe in that moment she actually believes that that story. And she's saying that because she's like the armchair quarterback who's watching Monday Night Football. He can say, If I were there, I would have done this and I wouldn't do that. And I would have thrown the ball here and I wouldn't throw it there. It's easy to say what you will and won't do when something's not in front of you.
Right.
That's what I equate it to. So I've seen many girls that say they would never do those types of things. As soon as high value is in close proximity, boom, hypergamy kicks in, and you see all belief systems they basically placate their boyfriends with a story, and they go off and fuck the alpha. And I have been that guy many times. So I'm just letting guys know, don't believe that story when you hear, well, I'm not that kind of girl, and I would never do that. It's dog shit.
It's funny how you put it like that. I think more guys get red pilled by being that guy than by being the guy who gets cheated on. Yeah. Like that was part of it for me too. When I was balls deep in a girl and she was telling me how great her fiance was.
And she meant it, and she actually
did mean it. She was totally meant it, but she still had the afterglow.
They let you hit it raw too.
Oh yeah,
they let you hit it raw too.
With women, I always ignore the word not. So if they say I would never do that, they would definitely do that. And they say that's not something I would do. That's definitely something I would do.
Usually it's a pretty good indication they've already done it 1,000 times and they don't want to be labeled for it.
Exactly.
How many times have y'all been in the bed with a woman and her phone rings? She's like, "Shh, don't say nothing."
Yeah, that's happened to everybody.
On the other side while she's out there sucking your dick or playing with your balls or something, man.
Yeah, right.
Have any of you ever said anything? That's what I'm wondering.
I've kicked some women out.
So take the call outside.
Let him do all the non-sexual stuff. I fuck her, you pay for it. That's a I'm not saying shit.
Dude, I had this Snapchat porn star. Guys were sending her dick pics on Snapchat, like left and right. I'm like, you got to fucking turn your phone off. Like, this is to get the fuck out of here. Like, this is too much. Like, I know you do the Snapchat thing. Like, you got to shut that off when you're here. Like, it's too much. Like, I don't want to hear that shit buzzing on your phone and shit.
Crazy. All right, let's do the next caller, guys.
Let's go to the next caller. And by the way, real quick, Sean at Tampa said something very, very profound. He said if it pisses off her conscious, it turns on her subconscious. So the guy is definitely as red pill aware as there ever was. Area code 909. You're on live with the group.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Q from Los Angeles. I am 28 years old. I've got a story this is from July of 2015. I was already unplugged, but this was like the final nail in the coffin. So I moved into this beach house with this girl I knew from college and two of my good friends. So me and my two buddies shared a room, and she was in another room. But for 4th of July, me and her went to this party. Go for a few hours, then her boyfriend took us both back home, and they got in a stupid argument towards the end of the night. So I just went back to my room. And then
all right, 909. I'm gonna mute you here, 909. If you would put on a headset because we can barely hear you, guys. You got to make this swift. I've got 9 other callers in the queue. We'd love to hear the stories, but we've only got another 45 minutes so we can get all the callers. And 909, I'm gonna keep you there. Again, name, location, and question so that way everybody gets a chance to get on the line. I'm gonna get back to 909. Area code 512. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm from Austin, Texas. Sort of in a job that has some public presence, so I prefer not to share my name, but I love you guys and everything you do, and I'd love to talk to y'all on social media or go to the conference and meet you guys at some time.
That'd be great.
So I just want to share a little bit about my, I guess, red pill story and how I ultimately found Rollo's blog and his website and all that stuff. So my story is basically was, in early 20s, not a lot of success, kind of on that lower end of the chart that Rollo has. Part of it was like being a minority and son of immigrants and feeling like, having to struggle with all that. But anyways, so I kind of just worked really hard, got my career together, started having some success, and then was in a relationship kind of starting just at the beginning of my career, I guess, and she was in her epiphany phase, so a few years older than me.
There you go.
Basically it started off really, she was super affectionate, super charming and exciting and crazy in bed. But then it just sort of like, as time went on, the crazy started showing up, and it was like waking me up at all hours of the night, saying all sorts of weird things to get attention, and
BPD.
I started thinking about it and looking on the internet about relationships and things like that. And basically, there was one she started saying things about like, oh, I forgot to take the pill. And I was like, my mind was like, okay, wait, hold on.
Before or
what am I
after
even
you
doing?
nutted
Like,
in her?
sorry, say that again?
Before or after you blew your load in her, right?
It was after, we'd been doing it and stupidly in my mind without a condom for, a few months at that point.
Sure.
And then so she just kind of like said like, oh, but don't worry about it. I just one pill, not a big deal. But then I was just like in my mind, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm definitely not, I'm making terrible choices here, not putting up the right boundaries, letting her, do whatever anyways, I just sort of had a moment where I just freaked out and I was like, okay, I don't even know what I'm doing here. So I ended it. Thankfully, nothing terrible happened after that. She's, I don't have a stalker or anything like that afterwards, but I started Googling and looking, and I found Rollo's blog, and it was like, he's like this professor just, laying out all these terms and showing us how things work. So, anyways, I just appreciate it. I'm still kind of focused on my career right now because I've been moving around a lot and had a lot of things going on, but at least I feel like I now have the tools not to make terrible decisions about my life.
Real quick question here before I let you go. How old are you?
Now I'm 28.
Perfect. So, and thanks for the call, area code 512. He's at 28 years old. He should definitely focus on his career. Dude, pound ass, pound pussy until you're 35, 36, 37. If you want to maybe do a long-term relationship, wait until
you're in a very precarious position when you're at 28, when you're right around the same age as women are when they hit their epiphany phase. You have to watch out because you become a prime target for women because they expect you to be blue pill at that point. They expect you to be the guy who's available to them, to be the one that they were supposed to meet so that they can start a family and everything. That's why you see women like they're technically going off the pill. There's no such thing as an accidental pregnancy. Just keep that in the back of your head. Every time a woman gets pregnant, it's because she is designing to get pregnant.
Okay. Yeah, I think Rollo has a really good point with that too. Guys at that age are getting sniped. Like,
yeah, you have to be because they know that you're on the ascension to your sexual market value peak when you get into your 30s. So they want to get on the train before the train leaves the station.
Yeah, if you're good genetic stock, you got a good income, decent family, you're not dealing cocaine or guns or anything like that. Yeah, watch out, guys. You're a big target.
Listen, he's not fucking around either. Girls don't give a shit how you got there. They care that you're there. So it doesn't matter if let's say you're worth $10 million and she finds that you're a cocaine dealer, or you're worth $10 million and you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Guess what? She's not going to give a shit one way or the other, dude.
Women do not care about the struggle. They hang out at the finish line and fuck the winners.
They're going to bang you if you sell cocaine. I'll tell you that right now.
That's true too, but they're probably not going to want to get knocked up by you.
They hang out at the finish line and fuck. Let's go back to the phone. Let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 604. You're live with the Red Man Group. Name, location, and question, please.
Yes. Hey, thanks guys for taking my call. It's
Absolutely.
Paul from Vancouver. Hey, a quick question for you. I'll keep it brief. I'm dating this girl right now. Very extremely successful, hot, beautiful woman. I'm doing a good job. I understand my own value, this and that, but I can't. In the back of my mind, I always worry that hypergamy is not in my favor in this situation. Any tips that you'd have for me?
You're holding her way too high a regard already. I could tell you right off the bat. You're calling in and talking about how awesome she is.
Damn, it is, man. Okay. Girls are not. The only thing awesome about girls is that they let you fuck them every now and again. Outside
and
of
when they're quiet.
Not
what makes her so much more special than you?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think she's more special than me. I think in the back of my mind, hypergamy, I think, is not in my favor. She's always she's very wealthy and she's around very successful people.
So
and I
wait, hold on. You said she's well. Hold on. Let me look. You said she's well. What does it look like on a scale of 1 to 10?
9.
Listen.
No way.
Your ego invested, man. He's like Jonathan's completely right.
What's that?
I'm very skeptical when guys say, no offense, man, but whenever I hear guys within the manosphere claim a girl is like a 9 or a 10 or something like that, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, you can take a point and a half. So let's put
her
on
I'm pedestalizing you're saying right now.
Yeah. I that's my experience with hundreds of guys I've heard say that stuff, thousands over the years, to be honest, like very consistently.
It is because you fuck her. Here's the thing, man. A girl who's a 6 in the face becomes a 7 when your dick is in her mouth. right? She becomes an 8 when she pretends she likes your dick in your mouth. Her face becomes a 10 when she swallows your load. That's just kind of how that goes. So we all understand that there's sort of a filter there. Dude, my own girlfriend Devin, yeah, she's attractive. She might not be as attractive as I think she is. I can admit that on the air.
It's called wife goggles. It's a normal thing for guys. When
Yeah,
you ego
so
invest in a
question
girl.
for Vancouver. How much money do you make versus how much money she makes on an annual basis?
Here we go.
I have no idea. I make 160 a year. She makes maybe, I don't know, 5 million. I'm not sure.
What does she do for a living?
I really shouldn't say it.
Okay, fair enough. So she's making about 5 million a year. I mean, hypergamy seeks its own level or higher. I mean, you could make it work, but you're going to have a prenup thrown at you. You're going to have an interview by her family about all kinds of things. I mean, she would ultimately dump you for a guy that's going to be of same or higher value that makes $5 million a year, right? So yeah, is that threat on the horizon? Sure. But, you know, if you're a high enough value guy and she looks up to you, I mean, there's still women that are with guys that make less money than them.
They usually make up for it in status, though.
Yeah, it's uncommon, and they're usually not that happy on a long-term basis. I think studies show, in fact, that women, generally speaking, are most happy on a long-term basis if they're with a guy that they can look up to and makes more money than them.
Yep.
Yeah, one thing.
What's the big deal? Is he trying to like marry her? I don't get the deal. Like just she's giving you pussy and she makes a lot of money. Why complicate it more from there? If you're not going to marry her, just keep banging her and go find some poor obedient girl in the meantime.
But if you were listening to what he was saying, guys, he kept saying she. What about I, me? What about what is she bringing to your what is she bringing to your kingdom? What is she bringing to your last name? It sounds like you're trying to get us to co-sign her that you want to be with her because she's bringing all these things to you. What do you, I mean, you to her? What are you doing?
It's a good question.
Wait, say that again?
Really well. It's a great situation. Yeah.
Real quick, I'm going to ask you a couple
well.
questions.
So
how old are you? How old
value.
is she?
Okay.
How old are you? How old is she?
43 and maybe 40. She's 45.
So, okay. See,
what?
Hold on,
45-year-old women are not sexy and beautiful, dude.
There is no 45-year-old nines.
No such thing as a 45-year-old 9, number one. Number two, a woman's true value as far as a relationship is concerned is not connected to what she makes. Listen, man, you could be the most feminine, beautiful, or I'm sorry, you could have all these degrees and all the money. And I'm not trying to bag on you here, but we're trying to make you understand that what she makes has nothing to do with what she is going to be as a wife. The only effect that her earning potential or the money she makes, the only effect that has on your relationship is that eventually she is going to dump you for someone who makes $5 million a year or more. That's it. Other than that, the only value that she brings to your life is maybe not having to pick up the tab every time and the way she looks. And by the way, there's no such thing as a 45-year-old 9. It just doesn't. I
have an important rabbit hole question we got to go down. How many kids does she bring from her prior relationships to the table?
Shit.
How many?
3.
Oh, 3 kids. And how many kids do you bring to the table, my friend?
Next.
Up a tune.
Dude, no way, bro. That's gross. You're better than that.
We gotta let him go.
Let me throw this in real quick on the last.
Are we
point.
sure this isn't Jose Alonso?
Case in point, right there.
Hang on a second. I want to add this in as the last point on this with what I commented on earlier. So I think what most men should do, and this is difficult to do, but you can practice it and get better at it. With any woman you want to evaluate for physical SMV, like how hot is she? Try to look at it from an objective perspective. Like how would millions of men look at her and evaluate her? And then also what's your personal preferences for it too? So maybe she's an 8 to you, but really she's like a 6.5. And you should give her 2 rankings, not just 1 out of 1 to 10. I think it's a pretty good way to look at it.
Yeah, like any 45-year-old woman with 3 kids from prior relationships, I don't fucking care if she makes.
Oh yeah, that's a disaster. Yeah, that's total fucking. I used to say crazy single mom.
Women do not share their wealth with men anyway. They just keep it to themselves.
Yeah,
I doubt she makes $5 million. I don't know. Something about that story doesn't add up.
It's probably family or something, right?
I think there's kind of this demographic of guys who get into that situation where the girl is just good looking enough and she makes so much money that like she's happy to keep him strung along Like she'll pay his bills, she'll give him a car, she'll give, you know, she starts footing the bill because she knows that the beta bucks provisioning side of her hypergamy is already met, and she's just wanting that boy toy. This is what happens when most women get to like a level of like financial success or personal, you know, maybe they got a career going or whatever it is, and they have that side of hypergamy already taken care of for them. So what do is they try to get this bullpen of alpha guys, usually who are younger than them, and they can pay the bills. And the more we get into this generation of guys who don't handle their shit, who are the, you know, what we like to call the Lost Boys generation, or the guys who just want to you know, play Xbox and smoke weed and jerk off to online porn. The hotter of those guys are easy pickings for a woman who is like 3, 4, or 5 years older than them, who makes a lot of money, who wants to go back and pick up those guys. I don't want to get too deep in this because I have a really good personal story that I could tell about this, but just trust me that when a woman gets to a point where she's financially independent, she stops looking for the beta bucks. She stops looking for the provisioning, and she starts actively, like, aggressively looking for alpha fucks.
Yeah. So just to add to that real quick, what this chick is looking for, because she's financially stable, she doesn't need a man, right? She's got her kids from her prior marriages. That's out of the way. If she's making $5 million a year as a professional, she's obviously attending high profile events. She's in the upper class. All she needs is a guy that can wear a nice fitted suit, looks good standing beside her as arm candy, and can show up with a polite demeanor for dinner events, charity things, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's really what it is.
A pipe rate?
Well, hey, if this chick's
and of
a
course,
single mom too, with 3 kids, I bet she fucks like a porn star. I mean, 3 kids, that's like all kinds of fucked up fetishes she has and stuff at that age, being single.
You'd think,
crazy single mom. Oh yeah, no way she doesn't. No way she doesn't.
Girls I've been with have often been the worst ones in bed. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, how do you not learn through practice if nothing else?
Single moms, they got it going on, man. The fuck demons, 100%.
We got another caller.
Yeah, we got 5 more. And by the way, Rollo said she was looking for alpha fuck. Something tells me that guy was not alpha.
Yeah.
No, he's calling in the show, talking and asking questions about her. Of course she's not.
Yeah, well, well, that's okay. We're talking about mindset, but I will guarantee you that guy is probably, like, sexual market value wise, with the way he looks, I will guarantee you he is above her in sexual market value.
Oh, definitely.
Actually, being Vancouver, I'm guessing he's a white guy, probably looks closer to Rich, and she's most likely Asian.
Ooh.
Oh, good Vancouver assessment.
Yeah. Going with the statistics here.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I would co-sign that idea.
Oh, my bad, Ryan. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Finish. Ryan, you got it.
Well, I was done.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Area code 647. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, I'm talking to you. You are live.
Hi guys. I have about like 1 or 2 questions. I guess the first question is that I'm not very good at reading signs when it comes to women. So I guess sometimes I'm left questioning myself a lot of times.
What signs are confusing you?
I guess is a girl staring at me because, or is she staring at me because she's just looking in my direction or something like that, or
go approach and find out.
How many times am I looking for it? Pardon me?
Just go approach and find out. Assume she is. Assume you've got it. If she doesn't want to have sex with you or like deal with you, like, she'll let you know.
Yes.
Girls are good at that.
If she makes eye contact, if she makes prolonged eye contact with you, like more than 1 or 2 seconds, she wants you to approach. If you
probably irritated, you haven't already. Yeah.
Donovan's spot on right there. And if you don't approach, then just know that in your heart, you've got some work to do on your game and your approach and your manhood. That's how women tell you all over the world. Happens in Japan to me, happens in Colombia. That's how women, they look you in the eye, like Donovan just said, 1 to 3 seconds. And if they really like you, they'll give you another chance. But the big problem here is that you're looking for signs of permission to approach, and like you're looking for like passages of like, oh, is it okay? Why are you afraid? Why are you not approaching? You obviously don't think you're good enough, or you're trying to like minimize some kind of loss or something, but you just need to approach. And
now, listen, girls are
yeah.
girls are just going to lift up their skirts and tell you to come over, right? Girls are the passive. They're the passive sex when it comes to approaching and pickup. We're the guys. We're the go-getters. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't just, I mean, you can cold approach girls, but if she is giving you a clear indicator that she wants you to come over and talk to her, and she's looking at you for more than 1 to 2 seconds, you have to go approach, because if you don't, she might not give you a second chance. She might think, you know what, he's a good-looking guy, but if he doesn't have the balls to come and approach me, then I don't really want to be with him.
Well, my question to the caller is this: what are you going to do next? What if she is looking at you? What if she is trying to talk to you? What are you going to do next?
Probably going to come up with another excuse.
There you go.
Not to do it.
There you go.
My opinion.
I love the anvils Jonathan drops here. Just like Ryan was saying, just it's like the.
I got no time to flirt for you guys' feelings.
It's like the Wile E. Coyote dropping anvils or something.
You know, one of the things that we used to do at the and SoSwap, there was this. It's not really an actual book, but it was a book. It was a collection of posts and stuff. It's called the DJ Bible, and there was a DJ boot camp, and DJ stands for Don Juan. It's not actually a DJ, but in that, one of the exercises that we used to teach guys back in the day was to make eye contact with other people, with anybody, because most guys who have this inability to pick up on social cues. I mean, this guy sounds to me like one of these guys who has a really tough time with social intelligence and finding out, what are other people thinking when someone is looking at them, or they tend to avoid eye contact. They want to look down. And what we used to tell them is, like, even if, generally approach people in general, because most people don't want to go up and like shake your hand and say, hi, I'm Rollo Tomasi. They don't want to be able to have to introduce themselves or to start off a social engagement themselves. And so when you live your life behind a monitor, when you live your life behind your phone, when you have all these buffers in between you and actually engaging with a person, it gets worse and worse and worse. And so we're seeing, like, generation after generation of guys who simply cannot pick up on social cues. It's not that, I think what's interesting to me is, like, we always talk about and I'm not saying that the caller is this, but we talk about guys who are spurgs, right? Or guys who have maybe this semi-autistic lack of social intelligence, where and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that in the clinical sense, where they will look at somebody and they can't pick up on the visual cues of that guy or that girl, because they're used to typing on a screen, or they're used to interacting with people. There's a safety behind that, behind my cell phone, and they never really learn how to interpret those cues. And I think that's really the first place that guys like this need to start, is they need to start initiating themselves. They need to look people in the eye. When you're talking to somebody, look them in the eye. You'll notice that whenever I'm talking to guys, like at the 21 convention, I'm always looking at these guys in the face, because I mean, I come from, I guess, a generation where we had to do that. But, like, I think more and more, the more we kind of hide behind our digital selves, the less we are able to understand people in real life. And that's scary for guys. It's very scary for guys who just want to sit behind it and type and complain about stuff. I don't complain about it. They just want to stay behind the safety of their buffers. And it's important for guys to come out in front of those buffers and take the bull by the horns and go out there and initiate. So what I would suggest doing is, for like a week or 2 weeks, when you're talking to people, if you're going to school, if you're going to work, whatever, look people in the eye when you're talking to them. Even if they're people you don't even know, don't be creepy about it, but just, like, smile, say, hey, how are you doing? Be personable, because once you get past that, once you kind of break that fear of actually having to engage with somebody, then you'll start picking up on those visual cues.
Okay. Listen, that was a very good, that was a good question. And I think Rollo nailed it spot on. And him and Steve, you're looking for permission to approach girls. Guys these days, and we're going to get to the next caller after this. Guys these days, especially younger guys or Tinder guys, the only way they know that a woman is interested in them is if they swipe right. They have no idea how to pick up on that out in the real world. 914-205-5356. If you're calling from outside of the U.S., it is 001-914-205-5356. Let's go to our next caller. I think his name is Vinay Kumar in India. Is this you? Hello?
Apparently not.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you here. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 951. Thanks for holding. You're on. You're on with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Oh, what's up, guys? This is Charles Caballero from Southern California.
Yeah, man.
What's up, Charles?
Oh,
Hey.
he was at the 21 convention.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, I know. That was crazy times. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick story, which is I think I talked to you about this, Donovan. So yeah, I went on a date with this girl I met on a dating app. Basically just took her out for coffee, $10. Cool. She agreed to a second date. So we went on the second date. Made the mistake of paying for dinner. I was hungry, and when I looked, and basically I just sort of lost interest in her. And not only that, I think she picked up on it because and once like I think at one point went to a bar afterwards. I got tried to do a touchy feely, touch her hand, touch her arm, and she moved away. So I know your advice that you gave me, Donovan, was just next or don't take her out again. The interest is gone. So I guess the point being is 2 days later, didn't text her or nothing. She texted me that Sunday saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And I thought about it and said, nope, just ain't worth the squeeze. Blocked her number.
Good job. Because here's the thing: if you tried to escalate with her and she moved away, but then she calls you back or she texts you back, she's just trying to get fed. That's what that is. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think she was interested, and if she would have came back to me like that, I that's me smelling weakness, and I'm a fucking predator. So I would be like, well, come on over. I'm watching Netflix. I like zero cost involved, zero time paid, zero money paid, just low investment. Hey, well, I'm at my house hanging out. Invite her over, and then go for the kill.
I like that. Yeah,
that's how you bottom line it.
Yeah, because he's already taken her out twice, right? He hasn't spent much money, but he has already invested time. See, me, I'm the type of guy, if I haven't fucked you after the second date, I'm ejected. But that's just me. But I like your advice, Jonathan, because you're telling her, hey, what are you up to? Yeah, I'm just watching Netflix. Come on over and chill. If she's really interested, she'll come over. If she's not, she won't.
If you're just looking for short-term sex, I could certainly get behind what Jonathan's talking about. I think if there's something that if you think that this is a long-term prospect, next, because her coming back is, remember, the medium is the message, and her coming back is that message. So what that says to me is that you were, at some point, you weren't her highest priority, and now suddenly something happened in her life or in her environment where something didn't pan out, and so you are plan B. So I mean, if you're just gonna, if it's just short-term sex and you're just gonna fool around with her, I get it, but but nothing more than that.
Yeah, I mean, the worst you could do is be somebody's second choice.
It's low-hanging fruit, but don't over-invest in it.
Yeah, sorry, I was projecting my own interest, which is short-term sex at all times.
Listen, what if she makes $5 million?
Project away. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 904. You're on.
What if she made $5 million?
It makes $5 million. Put a baby in it. First priority.
3 in there.
Go ahead.
What else did, apparently?
From Jacksonville.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Yeah, man. What is the question actually? The question is how we got unplugged, right?
Sure.
Hey, so I have to admit that Sandman, he really presents a pretty good case, but I like to go with the extreme case and then work my way backwards.
I'm sorry, who is Sandman? I don't know.
MGTOW. Sandman's MGTOW guy.
Yep. Oh, so
he's what you would describe as low-level MGTOW.
Oh, all right.
Not top tier like me in Tokyo.
But I love to keep you guys out because it's it's like balancing a frame of reference. But I just think that really you might as well just direct everybody to a Sandman video. That's just my short.
Yeah, we're not about.
Yeah, the problem with Sandman's videos is they're pretty much all the same. Women suck. You're an idiot. I rule.
Sandman has directly lifted my material on so many occasions. That was one of the reasons why I just kind of gave up on the dude.
That son of a
bitch. Videos, they all have.
I'm the most tolerant guy when it comes to MGTOW, but like there's comes an extent when a guy sort of, like you said, leans towards the low end of the spectrum right there, where it's just, I mean, how long has Sandman been doing what he's been doing? I mean, as far as I know, it was like 2012 is when he started his channel or something.
Say 6 years.
Yeah, at least 6 years, and it's the same video. And at what point do you progress? At what point do you do something different?
The thing that disgusts me about MGTOWs is they just, as men, they have like this whiny tone about everything, and that repulses me as a man. How do you think that makes a woman feel that you're trying to have sex with?
It's validation seeking. It's all it is.
Well, Jonathan, you're just a pussy beggar now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Worship.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that they want to go their own way. They want you to acknowledge that they're going their own way and you're missing out from it.
It's catharsis for them as well.
Look, here's the thing, as you know, Donovan would say. Here's the thing. I mean, if you choose to go MGTOW, that's cool. But if you are kind of pushed in a position where you can't navigate women in the sexual marketplace, you're not a MGTOW. You're an incel. Like, just call it what it is. I mean, you can't get women.
There's a quantify it. There's a qualitative difference between somebody like Turd Flinging Monkey and Sandman.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, I was just gonna say is like, I mean, at least Turd Flinging Monkey is throwing out. He's talking about the deeper dynamics instead of a bitch is a bitch is a bitch, right?
And he's not biting your shit, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't have people seem to think that I have some problem with MGTOW. It's like, I don't have a problem with MGTOW. I would say that MGTOW are probably of the sub tribes of the manosphere. I would say they are one of the most red pilled of the sub tribes, certainly more so than MRAs. Yep. But I just disagree with the solutions. That's all. I agree with all of their analysis and everything else, but then it just stops right there for MGTOWs. I want to say, how do we solve this? How do we go? They define the environment. They define the problem very, very accurately, very, very well. But then what do you do about it? Do you go get a doll and jerk off into a doll all the time? I would say, it's funny, is like we were talking about having sex with robots or whatever. I'm saying that there are MGTOWs who will say that even that is pussy begging. Like that is,
oh my God,
like, because you have to spend money on an effigy or an image of a doll. It's like, why not even just jerk off to free online porn? If you're just about the feeling for it, go for that, right? Or why even look at porn? Because people have to make money off of that. Just jerk off and close your eyes and think about it. I mean, that really, if that's what you're all about and you don't want to have anything to do with women, that's fine. It's these degrees of conviction. And like I said, I agree, and I would say that I'm probably of us on this panel, I'm probably the most, I guess, empathetic for MGTOWs. But again, I just simply disagree with their solutions.
Just jerk off in front of the mirror and throw it in your own face.
I want a manosphere virtue signal. I want a manosphere virtue signal here. I want to co-sign what Rollo said. That at least the MGTOW guys, the best ones or the worst ones, however you want to look at the spectrum of that, at least they're aware of like major issues going on in the world. They're not, whatever incel, whatever level MGTOW they are and shit, at least they're aware of an issue. At least they're aware of a problem in the West right now. Most guys are not even close to that. They're NPCs, sort of betas walking around, getting roped into stupid shit. They laugh at stuff like pickup if they even hear of it. They do basic
what I've noticed about the MGTOW guys is you start to see a lot of them distancing themselves from MGTOW now that once identified or maybe put out content with MGTOW in it. There's a handful of them out there.
Listen, MGTOWs get it right, and they're 99% on point with red pill truth. They know what it is. And you want to know something? I've been the guy that says, hey, dude, listen, man, if you want to check, if you just decide you don't want to mess with women, totally cool. If you decide you want to fuck a doll, I get it. It's not something that I would do, but I understand why. But to then turn around and make fun of people like us who go after living, breathing human beings and then give us the impression that the reason why you don't go after pussy is because you choose not to, that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. The reason you don't have pussy is because you can't get pussy. So you make fun of people who can get pussy by calling us pussy beggars. That is the most cowardly shit I've ever heard.
Well, I think the MRAs do that too, right? I mean, I understand. They have the same kind of. It's interesting how just like MGTOWs will throw the same pussy beggar comment at you. Any POAs or red pillars, both. It's interesting they both do that.
Towards you as feminists do. Oh, that's not very masculine. What the fuck would you know about masculinity? Like, get out of here, man.
Should we move on to the next caller?
Yes. Yeah. Area code 310. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead. 310. You're on live. Going once?
Oh, okay.
Yep, there he is.
Yeah, 310.
Yep,
area code 310.
This is you.
Okay, hey guys. Hey. Yep, thanks. Sorry about that.
Right.
This is Christopher from Arizona. I had a story about unplugging your topic, but it's slightly from a different perspective. I'm not sure if you guys have been following this whole thing with Ariana Grande, the singer chick, and that she was engaged to that goofy comic guy, Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
And I'm not following this thing, but anyways,
I'm shamefully saying I am actually aware of that situation.
I am too, Rollo.
But yeah, so anyways, you know, Pete's sort of not really popular on Saturday Night Live, and he's sort of geeky and he's sort of self-deprecating and stuff. And I heard him before on the show saying that he's going to get fired because he doesn't, you know, get enough screen time or whatever. And Ariana just suddenly falls in love with this guy, and they're engaged. And he was always doing interviews saying that, you know, he's not worthy of her. She's so beautiful. She's so rich. She's so talented, and that he's not that big of a deal, etc. Well, I guess he went on Howard Stern a couple of weeks ago and was going on and on and on about how he's not worthy. She's gorgeous. She's like stunningly beautiful. He can't relate to why she even likes him, and that he doesn't have any of the money or the talent, etc., or the power, I should say, and fame. And Robin Quivers, you know, Howard Stern's co-host, just the other day said that she saw Ariana Grande off camera, like in the dressing room or something. And when he wouldn't stop talking about how hot she is and how unattractive he is, that her face fell and she got ice cold. And then a few days later, she called off the engagement.
And then what did he do?
I don't know if this is a... Go ahead.
And then what did he do?
Oh, well, you know,
you're trolling now, dude.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, what did he do? I want to know. I don't know about the story. Okay, I guess I wasn't in on the joke. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, it seems to me like he's going to get a hard unplug, essentially, because, you know, constantly lowering his value to this girl. He already had her. He should have, you know, played the game differently. And when I heard that from Robin saying that, you know, that she looked ice cold after he was, you know, wouldn't stop self-deprecating, I thought of you guys and thought of Kane and the red pill and all the stuff. But this guy, you know, had a big fish on the line and just really blew it. So anyways, I'm not sure if that relates to the topic today, but I thought I'd call in.
Well, no, I was going to say is that is and the reason I even know about this is because it is it's an object lesson in Iron Rule of Tomasi number 9. And that is never self-deprecate. A lack of game is not itself game. So when you start talking exactly like this guy was talking, he was like, "Oh, she's so pretty and I'm such a scumbag." He's just a more, you know, high scale graphic example of what a lot of guys do, particularly in like Christian culture. Evangelical guys do this all the time. I can't believe God brought me my bride. You know, I can't believe that she would go for a scumbag like me. I can't believe that and they think that they're lifting her up by bringing themselves down. Right. She becomes more while he becomes less. And it's this gross example of this self-deprecation that they think is going to in some way make themselves more endearing to her because they lift her up and they completely over exaggerate her SMV while they self-deprecate themselves. And that's why I made that a rule, Iron Rule number 9, which is never self-deprecate, because guys think that that's game. They think that the more that they lift that girl up and the more they bring themselves down, the more she's going to like him. And what happened with her is, of course, first of all, Ariana Grande is an alpha widow. She's an alpha widow of Mac Miller, that rapper that just offed himself not too long ago. I guess he OD'd or something like that. So she's already an alpha widow. She's with this guy who's this complete douchebag who's just like, "Oh, I can't believe she likes me." You know, at every opportunity, he's self-deprecating. Well, of course she's going to. Women want to be with men who other men want to be and other women want to fuck. And if you're constantly sitting and bringing yourself down, nobody wants to be you and nobody wants to fuck you. So yes, of course she's going to bail on him.
Here's a tip for guys out there. Never, ever, ever tell pretty girls that they're pretty. They already know this, dude. Like, I've dated girls in the past who say, "How does this look on me?" Right? You got a fucking body of a porn star. How do you think? But I don't tell them that. Here's how this works, right? How does this look on me? I'll tell you what, if my dick is in your ass at the end of the night, you'll have your answer. Like, get the fuck out of here with that validation seeking. You know you look good. Listen, you can go get compliments from all your little office beta schlubs. You're not getting it from me. I'll give you all the validation you need. D being the operative fucking letter. Do not tell girls, do not tell beautiful girls they are beautiful. They will punish you for it.
I will add this: if you do give a compliment, make sure it's very, very specific. So if they ask you how they look and don't comment, the real mistake is commenting in general. That's what I think it's what Donovan's getting at. So if she's hot and you tell her she's hot, you're going the wrong direction. But if you think her ass looks great, that's what you say. Hey, your ass looks awesome. Hey, your tits look badass.
No. You need to turn this into an opportunity. If you think her ass looks great, you look at her ass and you go, "Let's just keep your ass that way."
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Amp it up.
And then give it a smack after you said that.
There we go. I'm thinking we should keep your ass that way. So
I think what happens though is that when you get specific with it, it leaves them wondering what you think about the rest. Even if they know they're hot, the fact that you're not validating the entirety of it is what triggers it in a positive way in your direction.
I've always liked lying, but making it obvious you're lying.
Wait. Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, just oogle the fuck out of it and tell you, oh, that's a horrible ass. That's the worst I've ever seen, and then just keep staring.
Agree and amplify.
All right, let's grab another caller.
All right, let's do it. I got area code 403 and area code 571. Mosi, relax. Keep your skirt on. We're gonna get to you in a minute. You've been on hold for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. We'll get to you. Area code 403. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, gents, it's Derek here in Canada. Quick question for you is, just trying to figure out this whole hypergamy thing and how it relates to me in my life. I'm kind of skeptical of it. Maybe I'm wondering if you guys could shed some light on...
What about it makes you skeptical?
Well, here's the thing. I would say that my looks are probably like an 8 out of 10. I would say my game is probably like an 8 out of 10. But
why are you hedging there? Probably, or it is?
I highly doubt that just by the tone of your voice.
Yep. 1000% fair.
Co-signed.
Definitely is. So like, I guess my question is, so I've recently come into some good success in my career, and I've moved into a $3 million home. And, you know, the question I have is, I don't really see the difference prior to that experience and how the women interact with me. I feel like it's the same.
Probably because you're leading with your wallet.
I was going to say it's probably because you're the same. Yeah, I mean, like you can...
Yeah.
You know, you can drive a Mercedes from a Chevrolet, which will help you a bit. But if your game still sucks, I mean, if you still feel like you're whatever, you know, basic bitch when you're a teen broke living on a futon, you're still going to view the world and women like that, and you're going to act accordingly. I mean, you're going to broadcast yourself accordingly, which means you'll get the same results. If you want to get different results, you got to change your belief system.
And like Donovan said, why did you say 3 million? Like, why did we need to know about $3 million? Why couldn't you just say a nice home? Something to think about.
Because I can promise you that's what I told.
Yeah, I would say...
Yeah. You mentioned it because you thought it was important, right?
Well, because hypergamy isn't the whole piece of hypergamy.
Yeah, leading with your money, though, means beta bucks, not alpha fucks. And it sounds like what you want is the alpha fucks.
Let me ask you something. What do you think hypergamy is?
Well, hypergamy, my sense is that it relates to status and capacity for provisioning is a piece of it. And if you're a high status person, you have a lot of money, that's an important factor that relates to hypergamy. And you will have a lot more interest in women if you're living in a $3 million home as opposed to, say, a $200,000 condo.
So you're a guy with an 8 looks, you've got 8 game, you've got a $3 million home. What scale ranking are these women that are coming over to your house?
And how old are they?
The last one was 27. I would say she's probably like 8 to 9. The other one was 30. She came over. She was
all epiphany phase girls, huh?
Yes.
How old are you?
Caller. Can you just stop lying?
90 seconds.
You gotta keep it
just be honest with yourself. Here's your problem real quick. Your problem, like a lot of guys, you want to stand on what you do and not who you are. No woman gives a fuck about your $3 million house or your yachts and all the other stuff unless you're going to stand on that like these gentlemen are telling you. And you can hear there's no man in you because every time these men are asking you questions, all you're doing is, have you ever heard any of these guys pause or say ooh, ah, or oh, or do you hear them
There's more guys.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting points. You know, I could also maybe liken it to like after sex, maybe if I get with them maybe 3 times I don't give them good sex. Could that be part of it as well?
Possibly.
Maybe. Who knows? Listen, the way it is
more
with
you.
sex is maybe
It's more you right now. I'll just tell you right off the bat. I can hear it in your voice. Like, and the fact that if you have 8 out of 10 game, you're not sitting around calling in to this show. You're drowning in pussy. If I had 8 out of 10 looks, 8 out of 10 game, and a $3 million mansion, I'd be having a fucking orgy right now.
Should I have 3 million fucking kids?
You'd be the Tate brothers, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Tristan, is this you?
Really?
A miniature Dan Bilzerian.
10 seconds.
Relax, guys. It's 10 seconds to call in. What about hypergamy are you not buying? So you told us that it sounds to me like you lightweight maybe disagree with the concepts of hypergamy. So what you're telling us is that, look, man, I'm an 8 out of 10 looks. I've got 8 game. I've got a $3 million home, but hypergamy, I don't know. I'm kind of doubting it because I'm getting the same response from these women. Is that what you're saying? You're saying, well, because I look good, I make a lot of money, and I live in a nice house, I'm still getting the same reaction from women. Is that what you're saying?
I would just say that status has a huge part to play in hypergamy. And so
yeah, half of it, actually.
I look at my experience prior to telegraphing the status of the $3 million home, and then after, it hasn't changed anything.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. And you have to understand this very clearly. Discovery trumps disclosure. Listen, here's the thing, man. No girl wants to hear you say you've got a $3 million home unless she's a 45-year-old 9, right? Like that's really the only time she's interested in that. So listen, you have to let your game get her back to your house. If you've got rock solid game, if you're at 8 in looks and an 8 in game, you convince her to come back to your place, and then she sees you've got a $3 million home. Guess what? All of a sudden, you've got the biggest dick she's ever seen. All of a sudden, nobody's ever fucked me like you. All of a sudden, I want to make you breakfast. Can I stay the night? Game trumps all. The money and looks and status help, but at the end of the day, you got to have game. There are guys out here in Philadelphia driving Lamborghinis, getting cheated on. It happens all the time. Game trumps all.
Well, most of
Carl
it is
Donovan, and I do that, Donovan, and I definitely do that. I definitely don't tell them. They show up to my house, they see my status. I'll even have sex with these girls a lot of times, but I can't get past like the third lay. You know, maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm not giving them a good dick. You know, I don't know.
No, they're sorting you as a beta is what they're doing. Like most of what you've told us is like pushing the beta side of like hypergamy. Rollo pointed this out in the comments here, like the private chat. So it's like you're respecting hypergamy, but only half of it that's like less fun. The much more fun part is the alpha C part, which you don't seem to be convinced exists, or you're not focusing on it. You mentioned
Carl
8 out of 10 game, but
he had a great point on this where he
Or
did
the
his Tinder
fact
profile.
this guy keeps saying that he sucks in the bedroom.
Yeah,
like that is pretty
that's
significant.
why I'm
right?
thinking this is almost like a troll here. Okay, first off, you're subscribing to what I call the Jordan Peterson definition of hypergamy, which means that there is only one side. It's the provisioning side. It's the beta buck side. It's if I have the money, she's going to show up. If I'm a leader of industry, if I am the guy that follows the old social contract to the fucking letter, then women are just going to start lining up for me. And the fact of the matter is those guys get cheated on daily. Now, let me tell you something else here. And this goes back to the guy who was the guitarist who called in here. The most amount of pussy I ever got was in my 20s when I had the beat up 1979 pickup truck with no fucking tailgate. I had an amp and I had a bass. Okay,
dude,
and
I didn't have a floor in my house. I'm with you.
And I had a single room studio in North Hollywood, and I didn't even have a box spring. Okay, I had a mattress. All right. And you know, and I had a spool for my dining room table. You know, one of those big spools. So, and I was getting laid like tile. That had nothing to do with I didn't need a charge card from Bed Bath and Beyond to get chicks. Okay, girls came to me. All right, I had pre-selection, I had status, but I had status in the sense that I was an up-and-coming musician. I was playing a character that these chicks wanted so much that they would come to my place to have sex with me, okay? And it was an alpha arousal attraction that we had to each other. Now, that's the other part you need to understand is like just like there is alpha fucks and beta bucks, there is arousal and there is attraction. And what women are attracted to is not necessarily what arouses them sexually. Okay. So what you are doing right now is you're putting all of your energy into one side of hypergamy, which is the provisioning side. It's the beta buck side. It's like, if I got my shit together, then women I don't say owe me, but women are more likely to have sex with me because I have a $3 million house, because I drive a Lamborghini, because I have all this stuff. And I can tell you right now, I know. So, I mean, we were just talking about this a minute ago. What was the guy who was the guitar player who calls in and says that, you know, married women are slipping their numbers into his back pocket. Their husbands are probably guys just like you.
Like you, dude.
Yeah, who have their shit together, who go to work every day, and they just simply don't understand the dualistic nature of hypergamy. And so what I think you need to do is you need to focus on the alpha fuck side, the arousal side, the raw alpha nature of yourself, to find that confidence in yourself. Because I think what Jonathan is saying here is true as well. It's like you're focusing too hard on the beta buck side of things and hoping that's going to carry you through. I'll tell you right now, what's going to happen if a girl comes along and I think what's happening right now is if a girl she sees your $3 million house, she's thinking, what's wrong with this guy? How come this guy doesn't have a girlfriend? How come this guy hasn't been married already? How come this guy, he's got all this money, he's got all this shit going for him, but he has no game and he has no woman. And it's like, you've got this $3 million house and maybe you've got a housekeeper that's taking care of it for you, but there's no woman around, and women are going, what's wrong with this? It's like having a super hot chick who's like 36 years old and she's never been married and has no kids, right? What's wrong with her?
Well, I mean, the fact remains, if you're not getting past the second or third date with women, like if they're not calling you back or they're ditching you after a few dates, it's you, man. Like you got to look in the mirror and figure out what's wrong with your fucking game. I mean, you don't have an 8 game if you can't, if you're not the one making the decision on when to end the relationship and she's doing it like 10 times out of 10, you don't have 8 game. Like that's where you got to start, really.
I'll add this for this game part. If we assume what he's telling us is true at face value, like he does have 8 out of 10 game, let's just assume that he's using a different concept for game than we are. The game he's talking about, if it's true, is like social skills game. So you can have all that down, but then what he's telling us with the sex part, if he's unconfident in his sexual skills at all, then he doesn't understand like actual game, like real game, as I would call it, red pill game. If you understand the red pill and you have some basic social skills, you should be having some crazy ass sex in the bedroom. Like you should be blowing these chicks' mind just because you're having fun and doing what you want to do. You're taking Rollo's concept, in my opinion, of MPOO, you're putting in the bedroom and you're just fucking going wild. So if you're not doing that, you don't have game. Like you have social skills game, maybe that's getting you some lays, like some basically beta lays, like 1, 2, or 3 times you bang these chicks.
Stop listening to Jordan Peterson about hypergamy. He knows nothing about intersexual dynamics.
Well, you guys remember when Carl was talking about that, how he was running 2 Tinder experiments, one where he led with his job, his career, his suits and that, and the women he was attracting were 28 to 34. And then when he started leading with more like alpha game, the girls were like 25, 23. I'd say and for caller here, if you are wondering about your alpha game, you'll notice your demographic starts shifting younger, because right now you're right in that prime zone for a girl that's looking to settle down. And maybe they don't know about your $3 million and 50-cent house, but I guarantee your body is just exhuming provider status.
Here's the thing, real quick. Let me ask you 2 quick questions, caller, before we let you go. How old are you, and are you looking for a long-term relationship?
I'm 37.
Okay.
I am looking for a long-term relationship.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right. No. Stop right there. No. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Stop right there, dude. Stop right there. That's the problem. That's the problem. When you are looking for a long-term relationship, girls can smell that on you. Part of alpha game, listen, and you're at that perfect age where you should start looking for a long-term relationship, but you're not gonna know if a girl is fit to be with you long-term after fucking her a couple times. It takes anywhere between 6 months and a year to figure that out. It took me 18 months. 18 months. That is 1 year and 1/2, 1 year and 6 months before I finally decided to commit to Devin. It took that long. I wasn't even 100% sure at the maybe year and 3 month mark. Maybe at the year and 4 month mark, I said, okay, she's got what it takes. She can handle me. She deals with my nonsense and my craziness. So I think maybe this could work. And here we are over a year later, and we're still going at it. But if you're looking for a long-term relationship, girls can smell that on you. I absolutely promise they can smell that on you.
And no guy with 8 out of 10 game and 8 out of 10 looks is calling into us and saying, "Hey guys, I'm looking for a relationship." Because real pimps, they're running away from relationships. They're running
Yeah.
away from commitment.
Word. Let's take the next caller. Let's take the next caller.
Area code 571. You are finally on with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hi, Donovan. Thank you. Guys, just to give you a brief introduction, I'm currently in Denver, Colorado. I just moved here from Austin.
Okay.
I actually came across Richard Cooper's channel in 2015 when I was looking for a BMW M3, and I have been following his channel since. And I remember his first interview with Rollo. He didn't even have his screen on. It was just a black screen. So I've been following both Rollo and Richard, and that's how I came across you guys. So my question to you is, I just moved to Denver earlier this year. I was working for a small startup, didn't like it, so I just joined a Big Four accounting firm. I travel during the week, and weekends I'm home. I am single, 35, no kids. Where can I go to meet a quality woman, not looking for anything long term?
Wow.
You just need volume. You just need to get volume. That's the only way you meet a quality girl, is you just need to meet volumes and volumes and volumes of women. And eventually, like, looking for one, it's not really something you find. It just kind of falls into your lap while you're just going through the game cycle, dating girls, meeting them, closing, seeing how crazy they are, how crazy they're not. Like, you can't go looking for the one, and the one doesn't exist. It's just volume. You learn what you like and what's compatible with you and what you decide you want to keep in the long run.
I agree 100%. You don't go out looking for. Now, are you looking for a long-term relationship, or are you just looking for girls to bang?
Yeah, I mean, not long term. Just I'm in a new city, so I just want to meet women.
Okay.
Also, I want to know what would be good places where I could meet, a group of women besides like maybe just a bar.
Actually, you know what? There are a number of things you can do. What I recommend for men like you, and I tell my guys this all the time, if you're not a club or a bar guy, I totally get it because it's a fucking sausage fest and girls can't hear. It's ridiculous. Go out and do social activities. Sign up for a dancing class. Most dancing classes are mostly women. Do an improv class. That not only helps your mouthpiece game, that also puts you in front of women. Sign up for a cooking class. Volunteer. Join a bowling league, do speed dating, any activity that does not focus on dating where you know there's going to be a surplus of women, that puts you directly in front of women. So when you start striking up conversation with hot Heather, who's 26 years old, you guys are learning how to make a filet mignon. She doesn't think it's creepy that you're over there telling her, "Hey, do you like your steak, medium well or well done?" That's how you can do that. So look at social activities outside of dating that can put you in front of women, and you will quickly find that you'll have more options than you know what to deal with, provided you're running the right game. Yoga classes, that's also
appreciate it, Donovan.
Say again?
I said no. I appreciate your feedback, and that's the only question I had. I look forward to your next Saturday's hangout again.
All right. Thanks for calling. Any other advice for 571? I mean, that's a great question.
I would just to sum it up for the kid, ABS and ABC. Always be sourcing, always be looking for new girls, and ABC, always be closing. Take them on dates, bang them, get used to the cycle, and that's how you're going to find eventually what you want. And this is going to give you competence, which you seem to be lacking in the closing and pickup area.
Confidence is derived from options, and you need to go out and generate those options. That's why I always tell guys that they need to date non-exclusively. If that means spinning plates, fine. That doesn't necessarily mean you're fucking every one of your plates, because everybody else says that. It means that you have those options available to you. And the more you have options, the more confidence you will generate, and the more confident you will be in your interactions with new women. So it's like this self-perpetuating cycle, but you have to have some capacity to generate those options to begin with. So go out and do it.
I'll add this real quick. One of the things I do in Orlando is I like going out a lot, as often as I can. Usually that goes way down with the convention, like as that approaches, and then kind of tails off. But eventually I'll be going out a lot again, 3-4 nights a week, stuff like that. But what I do though is I try to find venues that curtail to my values a little bit more. So my expectations are still pretty low going out meeting girls, 2 in the morning at a bar. But I go to like redneck bars and shit like that. And these will have, typically better girls, better variety than like standard downtown shit that's kind of ghetto. And then also I can wear a MAGA hat there without getting in a fight. The MAGA hat, make women great again, or they make America great again, stuff like that. So I try to find venues that support slightly better, environments for women and issues like that, rather than, a bunch of Hillary voters or some shit like that downtown, which I'm personally, I want to stay away from as best I can, even if they want to fuck me because I'm polarizing and wearing a MAGA hat. And then again, fights and stuff like that too. If I wear a MAGA hat in downtown Orlando, downtown, probability of getting a fight's pretty high. And
I had
I'm not interested in that.
I had a lot of people looking at me when I was doing that photo shoot around the lake with your guys, Anthony,
no
with
doubt.
the hat on, because it looks like it's a make America great again, but it's a make women great again hat, right?
That was no doubt. That's in broad daylight. Dude, that's in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to get Steve's opinion, or I wanted to get Steve to sort of tell callers, or to tell the guys. Steve has an unbelievable first date logistical. Without making it too long, what kind of first dates would you recommend that guys take women on, Steve, that don't cost a lot of money but are equally effective?
Easy 3 of them. Going to ice cream, coffee or tea, or feeding the ducks. That's it.
Feeding the ducks.
Yeah, feeding the ducks.
Yeah,
Feeding the ducks is a new one. I never thought of that.
$2 bread. You can walk around, throw bread at the women, throw bread at the ducks.
And then you're an animal lover on top of that.
Yeah, perfect.
Steve is a fucking gorilla pimp. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you go, folks. On that note, let's wrap up, because we try to keep these tight around 2 hours. I want to thank everybody that contributed in the chat, the super chats, the callers, of course, the panel. Just as a reminder, who's on the panel again, because we didn't do it at the intro. We got Anthony Johnson from the 21 convention, Donovan Sharp from the Sharp Reality, donovansharp.com, Jonathan from Modern Life Dating. Is it modernlifedating.com?
ModernLifeDating.com. Just follow me on Instagram, which is also Modern Life Dating. That's where I'm the most active and the easiest access, and I do that as like a little business in Tokyo as well. So I know Instagram very well.
Cool. And we got Ryan Stone. Is it the 4th R? That's the blog now?
He's the 4th R.
You're muted, dude. Unmute yourself. Does anybody know if it's
stupid
the
mouth
4th?
Yeah, it's ryanstone.com, but the company's 4th R Consulting.
There you go. So check out Ryan's work. He's heavily immersed into it lately. We've got, of course, Rollo Tomasi, the godfather of the Rational Male blog series and the book series. You should grab those. And Steve from themandmindset.com. I'm Richard Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars. You can also follow me on my website too. There's a community there. You can join with some great content. Guys, we have a Patreon page for the Red Man Group. We're fully committed to this thing. Hundreds of episodes will be coming out on it. We'll be doing live broadcasts for patrons only once a month at the $10 tier. So if you like what we're creating and you've enjoyed watching some of these, all of them, all 40 of them if it is, consider becoming a patron and supporting the creation of the content. It's something that we want to go deep on, and we'll be offering a hell of a lot more in the future. So I want to thank everybody for your contributions today and your call-ins. See you guys next Saturday.
Peace.
Peace.